when a man is setting out, okay, the first thing we need to look for in a man is whether he's a man of vision, not necessarily being employed. He could be employed and yet still stingy. He could be employed and yet without vision. He could be employed and yet just a boy kind of, because he just want to feel himself doing something. But somebody may not be employed and yet the person knows where he's going and he might what? Work towards it. What you should do as a woman, you should just see the red flag. The red flag is whether this guy is stingy or not, whether he really wants to make something. My name is B.I.C. Abeku Kain, pastor of Anatalo Chapel International. You are welcome to this very special podcast from Caris TV. And the show is Gobe Show. Gobe Show. This is a show that is going to help you and enable you to overcome all challenges and difficulties. Any broken situation in your life, you can trust that the Gobe Show is bringing it to an end. And that is why we say Gobe. Gobe means God over broken emotion. So don't think about the Gobe you've been eating anyway. Yes, we are going to serve you the original Gobe. Once again, you are welcome to the show. We are going to discuss red flags in relationship and, of course, other matters. I have special colleagues who are going to join me in this discussion. But don't forget to subscribe to this channel. We really need you to subscribe. We really need you to share. We really need you to be a part of the Gobe family. Okay, this is the Gobe Show, and we have special colleagues who are going to join me. I don't say panelists because this is a discussion we are going to have as friends and colleagues, and you are part of it. So make sure you leave a comment, okay? Leave a comment at this comment section. Now, I have with me DNT. I just love the name, DNT. Daniel Ni Nate. Daniel is a designer, very eloquent, very intelligent. The Lord has blessed him with amazing wisdom. And then we also have our sister Selina Tete. Selina Tete is a fashion designer and an entrepreneur. Don't ask me who knew her there. She's an entrepreneur. She's a wonderful woman, very eloquent, married, and very beautiful. Unfortunately, I didn't mention that Daniel is handsome. I'm sure he will pick up a problem with me. But let me just go and welcome them. Daniel, you are welcome.
Thank you. Great to have you.
I hope all is well.
All is well by grace.
Yeah, and the beautiful Sally.
Very well, thank you.
Wonderful. So today we want to talk about red flags in relationships. Yes, we may go beyond relationship, of course, into marriage and whatever and however. So we are going to look at red flags and other matters. But the first point we have to look at, or we want to look at, is the issue of red flags in relationship. What are red flags? Can we share our thoughts on exactly what red flags are? Daniel, can we start with you?
I thought you were going to start with the woman in red.
not the man in yellow.
But this one is
what about the man in yellow?
This one is for the man.
So the woman in red, would you tell us something? I think, ladies first, Abby.
Yes.
Well, I heard after the Beijing conference, that ladies first is over. Now it's what men can do. Women can do better.
Okay.
Anyway, let me just address it shortly. It's the red flags, or if I should define red flags, it means they are habits or attitudes or things you see that are not appropriate when dealing with maybe the opposite sex. It could be in the marriage or relationship, maybe courtship, or even on a first date. People are prone to show you certain things that you don't term normal, like like red flags could be you took me out on a date and then you just ask me what I want to eat, and maybe if I say I want to eat gobe, which of course is not God over broken emotions.
Is there red gobe?
Red gobe.
Red.
Yes, red. And you tell me you can't afford the gobe. I'll see that as a red flag. If you know you can't afford gobe, then why did you take me on a date in the first place? Or maybe you just say something. I don't want to use insults.
Okay.
I don't want to use mean words because I'm not into that. But red flags can be just anything that you term inappropriate in a particular dealing, especially when it comes to relationships and marriages.
So does it mean that if a man is not able to provide, let me say you go to a restaurant or whatever, he doesn't have the finance, but you, the lady, you can also provide. If you don't provide, will it not be?
Not in that manner.
Okay.
Like when you can't provide, when you can't afford, if you tell me politely, I will understand. But when you ask me my menu, and then I tell you what's on the menu that I want.
Okay.
And then you just blow it out. I can't afford it. No, that's not a good way of telling me.
Are you trying to mean that it has to do with how you communicate?
Yes.
Okay.
It also matters.
It matters.
How you communicate. Red flags can come from communication, actions, and dealings.
General dealings.
General dealings.
Okay, Daniel, what do you think of that?
Okay, so just to add a little to what my big sister said, red flags are just...
She's your big sister?
Yes.
Then she's really big.
Oh.
I mean, anything...
Unless she's the mamaga of Ashawa.
Hey.
The ruler.
There are
The ruler
moments.
of Ashawa.
Please.
Then she's tough.
Yo.
You have to be told. So, I mean, the indication of anything you cannot afford to deal with,
Okay.
to stay with, when it comes to your partner. So whatever you see, the impression of it, an indication of it, a sign of it, whatever it is, that you know that you cannot deal with being with a person, is a red flag.
It's a red flag. Anything you cannot do. There is this story of a man who wanted to marry a lady. Not even wanted. They were actually having the wedding. And then at the wedding, the pastor called the woman to come forward. So when the woman was rising, not knowing the man's leg, that is the groom's leg, was on her gown. So when she was standing up, then she noticed that. And sorry to use the word, she said, kwasia to the man before she stood up. Now, after saying kwasia to the man, she went to the pulpit. When she turned around, the man was no more in the auditorium. He left.
That's all.
And they went after him to ask him why. And he said, well, she called me kwasia over something trivial. And so I didn't see any reason to continue this marriage. Do you agree with such a decision from the man?
Yeah.
Is he a red flag? And why?
It's
would you
a
agree?
huge one. If on the day of marriage, now I started here, me say me a kwasia there, and they say my a kwasia. Even I'm a kwasia in the first place for even choosing you to marry.
But
you.
maybe she said it reflexively. You know, sometimes you
think
can
so?
you can just you know things.
You see,
everybody
the
makes
thing
mistakes.
is, the Bible says, right? Out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaks.
That's all.
And the person is
So it
known,
means there are many kwasia in the heart.
a person is known by what they are inside.
Okay.
When they bring it out. Okay. A tree is known by the fruit it bears.
Yeah.
So if you can involuntarily say something like this, then it means that that's what you are. What you can decide to say or say without even thinking about mostly tells that, you know, that's who you really are. Also, I believe that couldn't there have been signs before that moment,
Okay.
before they got to the point of marriage, that would have given him, the man, an indication of what this woman can be? Or is it the case that, like we know of most women, having the skill and art of hiding their true identity
You think so?
from their partner?
This thing you are saying.
I mean,
Like
I may not have statistics to back what I'm saying.
But why should he even say that?
However, we can, from observation
No.
and experiences around
Go
us,
back on that.
conclude
Go
that
back on it.
really
Do you
women
disagree
are able.
that
No, I don't disagree.
women, you know,
Are good at-
hide who they are?
Same as men.
But women are very good at that.
How?
Which is why even on a day of wedding, they will say the certificate should be given to the woman because she's a good
No, it's because
custodian.
she can keep it. There's a difference between keeping and hiding.
Naturally, we are
So
good
it's
custodians,
not about
but it
keeping.
doesn't mean we
For
can keep
safekeeping,
it. No.
right?
When
For
it
safekeeping.
Not
comes
hiding.
to hiding
It's not the case.
attitudes
So,
and
I
everybody
think-
has it.
Well, but
Everybody
I'm not
has
going
it.
back on that.
You
The
have to
point
go
is-
back
the
on
point
it.
is
No,
made.
until you go back on that particular
women
one.
can hide. In fact,
No.
men and women can hide things from each other for a
It's
very
better
long
you
time.
say it that way.
However, one does it better. Like
And
you said in
who
the
does it
beginning.
better?
Like you said in the beginning, what men can do,
Women can do better. And if we can do
So,
better,
men can hide.
So they can
Women
hide better.
Women can hide and
we
hide
can
better.
hide things anyway.
So do you agree? At
I
least
agree with the
on
fact
the basis
that
of
we
your
are
own
good at hiding
preamble.
things. Hiding things doesn't mean we hide our attitudes. Look, when it comes to those things, people adjust, they adapt, and then they grow.
Okay.
Anytime you find a woman in that particular situation, look, until a woman is being pushed, there are things, especially in marriage, we all get there. We go there with very clear minds. We go there with, oh, Charlie, I'm going into this marriage. But when you get there, let me use examples like every time you go out, maybe we are married,
Yeah.
and every time you go out and you come back, there is a particular portion we've allocated that when you get there, put your slippers or your shoes there. We have a socks box. Put your socks in that particular thing. And then you don't do it every time. When you don't do it, I fix it. Am I not a human being? Won't I get tired? I'll get tired. And when I get tired, I'll throw your shoes out.
But that
And
means,
then you have pushed me to become that mean without thinking about it. Do you think it is an attitude I've hidden?
but in that case,
It's you who pushed me there.
I'm coming. You see, we are talking about red flags. Now, if I push you and then you get into the wrong place because I push you, then you are actually revealing a red flag.
He said-
that if I push, because when you squeeze an orange, it is what is in
It
the orange
produces the
that
juice,
comes out.
whether
So
it's
if
bitter
I
or
do
sweet,
something,
whether
and because
it is
of that
bitter
you
or
react,
sweet.
I'm coming. If you react in a very rude way or bad way, like this woman, for example, I step on your gown and then you said kwasia. Now I've done something that has caused what is in you to come out. Is it not the case where you're saying that
You
women
know,
are good at keeping
we
it
are
because of
quick-
what they want?
So
No.
let me
We are
land. Let me
quick
land.
at
Let me
condemning
land.
this
Let me
particular
land on
woman
that,
because
okay?
she reacted.
Okay.
What if the gown has gotten torn and all her bum was showing?
And so it's not
No.
justification.
Maybe no,
it's
it's not.
justification for her
But
to call the husband
maybe
to be
the guy
or the
had
husband
already done
kwasia.
things. Why he has already done things.
And then she has got to her limit.
You know, me on my wedding day.
Okay.
If you witnessed it, right?
I mean, I've forgotten.
Yes, you will because
Are you married?
It was long
Are you
ago.
married?
Yeah, he's married.
It was
And you
long-
forgot.
No.
No,
Hey,
my
wait, no, I
wedding
understand.
day.
hers.
If a man is married, he should forget a lot of things.
No. She's
because there are
actually
things
referring to hers.
that.
I was asking
She
her
married
if
long
she
before I
remembered
did,
my
so-
wedding day.
She
No,
married
what
long
I'm
before I
saying is
did.
that when a man marries, there are a lot of
Forget
things
that
he
one.
has to forget.
Well, that too is true.
My
But-
wedding day, before we even get to the church, there were a lot of things going on.
Yeah.
You will be so angry,
Okay.
and people who were there who witnessed it can attest to the fact that even when it got to the kiss your bride aspect, I was not kissing.
You didn't kiss.
I kissed, but it was not like
It was you were
The-
kissing
the-
but not
kissing-
kissing. The kissing was not
circumstances had
kissing.
overwhelmed you.
me, and I wasn't. A lot
You
of
weren't
people.
around. You were
I
there,
was
but you
not
were not there.
around. I was there.
But you're not
for
there.
the ring, but I was not
But you
there.
had a broken emotion.
Yes.
So there was no
So
gobe. You
I
should have
could have-
taken gobe first.
Then Gobe was not there.
Carrie's TV. You made it.
Carrie's podcast was not there. The Gobe show. So then I could have reacted the same way this lady had acted.
Okay.
But maybe she had done it before, and the reason the man might have walked away was because that was the last straw of it.
Okay, he was fed
He
up.
was fed up. And his reaction is justified. I agree with him for walking away.
So that confirms what I was trying to get
It doesn't
to. Whether-
confirm the fact that
you
you
let
said
me land. What I'm saying is
women are good
no,
at
what I'm
hiding
saying
things.
is what
Okay,
I'm saying
so
is
so she just doesn't want to hear you saying that
Yeah,
Women
women
are
are
good at
good
hiding.
at pretending.
It's not about what she likes
So
to
let's
hear.
go
It's
beyond
about
that.
the
We
fact.
don't
beyond that.
pretend.
Now,
This one, I'll go and talk to my sister. We would pretend we would know what to do.
You just landed where I was going to, right?
Yeah.
Whether there could have been signs of like nature.
Okay.
Whether she must have done things of this sort,
Maybe.
which he had tolerated
For
or
some time.
either she had played the good girl up until then.
Yeah.
Okay, there are people who, when they know that now they have what they need, what they have been chasing for, what they have been working hard for, once they have it, they just show you their true self. So that could be also another scenario playing
But
out.
even if he had
in
walked
that
out of
case.
the wedding, he's already married to her, I guess, because they had already done the customary.
But what could be more
aspect.
embarrassing than walking out on your
On a
woman
wedding
bride?
day?
Yeah, but I think
And the embarrassment is not for
that
the
is also,
lady
you see,
alone.
I
It's
think
for the
that,
both of us.
Yes, what I feel like from what we are saying, what we need to do is to see the red flags even before the occasion.
Yeah.
Because many times we overlook it until we come
blinded
to a
by
point
love.
where it is even public. You see,
Love is
when the
blind.
issue has become public, then we want to react because we feel embarrassed. But when it was private, we didn't deal with it. As a counselor, people come to me for counseling, and sometimes I tell them that, look, you are going the wrong way. You need to, be careful about it. And they don't take it, and it happens. I remember there was one gentleman, 21 days to his wedding. I went to him and told him that, look, cancel this marriage. And he said, whatever happens, he's ready for it. You mean it? He said, yeah. Okay. He married, and he regretted. Another young man that I he came to me with his fiancée, and then when they came, I listened to both of them. They wanted to marry, of course, and I told the man that I want to see you. The next time when he was coming, I told him, it's you alone I want to see. He still came with the lady, that he can't go without
the lady.
the lady. So whatever I wanted to say, I didn't say it. After marriage, it didn't take a year. The lady put him in prison. They had to borrow money over 20-something thousand about 10 years ago.
For their wedding.
For the wedding, and not know it was borrowed. A lot of issues that I can't talk about. Now, the point is that we have to be careful before the time. But if you don't look at all the red flags, then we're talking about red flags, and we need to even look specifically at the red flags that are available. You see, some of the red flags, like you mentioned, could be behavior, communication, finance, or anyway. When I say finance, I don't mean the person should be rich or whatever. And I tell people, don't marry a man who is working, okay, or a man who is not working. That whether the person is employed or unemployed should not be the basis for marrying the person.
Hey.
Yes, it should not be.
The person should be working.
No.
Maybe
No.
when you make your point,
Yes,
Clarify
yes.
that.
This is what we've been taught over the years. And I say
Programmed.
it's wrong. And the reason I'm saying it's wrong is that, first of all, if you want to marry the person because the person is working, what about the person gets unemployed after marriage? What you couldn't accept under unemployment, you meet it in marriage. What I tell people rather is that marry an ambitious person. Because you see, you can meet somebody who is not working today, but because he has an ambition, because he has a vision, you see, he has a vision, he has a purpose, and you could see from his behavior that this person is going somewhere. Somebody may be working, and yet, look, let me be.
I know the ambition.
I'm saying it from experience. When I married,
ambition.
When I was married,
ambition.
Yeah.
What is that?
When I say
Can you
ambition, you
define
see, listen,
ambition?
working doesn't mean a person has a vision.
Also,
being employed.
some people have been ambitious until now. They have been married for 17 years. They are still ambitious.
No, they are wishful. There's a difference between an ambitious person
how will we
and
know
a wishful person. That is the point. An ambitious person.
This English is bigger.
No. You see, a person who knows where he's going and is set out to go there. Have you watched the movie Acrimony before?
I have.
Exactly. It should explain to you. Here was a man who has a vision and was ambitious and ready to achieve it. And the vision, needed his 100% attention. And with this 100% attention, he couldn't do other things. So they were in poverty. The woman couldn't stay. And at the end of the day, when the lady left, what happened is that this man eventually became successful. And now she regretted all the time she went through and
that
suffered.
Movie is another topic of discussion.
It's a reality.
It's that movie. When it gets to the lady, is it Tasha?
Taraji.
Taraji. what she did, she was right.
By walking away?
By walking away. For how long? And it was her investment, her entire lifetime investment. Ambition, ambition. Was it the ambition that was putting money on the table? Was it the ambition that was paying the bills? Was it the ambition? What
Ambition.
if it was the other lady who came in?
And you think that the fact that a man is working means that he will pay the bills?
No.
A man is working means he will pay the bills. There are men who even have money and yet they are stingy and you understand?
So now, what do you mean by the person should not be working?
No,
The
I'm not saying the person should. I'm saying should or should not be there. That should not be the case. You see, let me use myself as an example. When I married, before I married or when I met my wife, I had nothing. Okay? I was not receiving any money from anywhere. I even discussed with her that this is my situation. You know, she said something. She said, look, whatever it is, we will marry. That was what the promise she gave me. And by the grace of God, we married. Okay? Now, because I know where I am going, all right, by the grace of God, we keep going. Oh, you understand what I mean? Because you see, when a man is setting out, okay, the first thing we need to look for in a man is whether he's a man of vision. Not necessarily being employed. He could be employed and yet still stingy. He could be employed and yet without vision. He could be employed and yet just a boy kind of, because he just wants to feel himself doing something. But somebody may not be employed and yet the person knows where he's going and he might what? Work towards it. What you should do as a woman, you should just see the red flag. The red flag is whether this guy is stingy or not, whether he really wants to make something.
How will you know if the person is stingy or not?
You know it by his behavior.
How?
Yes, because you see, if I'm not stingy, I want to share. If I'm not stingy, because when every time the man says, I don't have, it's not, the fact that you are not employed doesn't mean you don't have at all.
But the person is not working.
I believe that
you don't have to be working to be able
relationships,
to
right?
help.
In relationships, definitely there'll be boundaries. There'll be boundaries as to how far you can go in terms of helping financially. Okay, some people have gone beyond their means of even helping to pay school fees when they themselves are finding them. They cannot find their feet, right? They will go to the extent of, whether it's the man or the woman, they go to the extent of funding the fees of their partner at their own expense.
Yeah.
They go to the extent of paying medical bills for their partners,
that one is
parents.
Relationship philanthropy.
You get it? So, and really, there are people, as we talk about finances, there are people who, once the money comes as the man, and maybe for the woman, for example, once they know that their man's money has come, the month has ended, then they will lay demands on the man. So I want to wait.
You'll be in trouble.
I want. Oh, she's not.
Selena,
She's an entrepreneur. There are those who will make a list for their partner.
When it comes
and they'll make sure that they spend all the money that comes in when they are in the relationship. So you, the man, seeing this, it's a huge red flag for you, because you know that this woman is not the kind who is likely to help you save when you marry.
So she must also
she's not likely
be
to help
forthcoming
you
in giving and supporting.
No, she should not lay demand on the man because it is his responsibility.
Oh, okay.
Because they're in a relationship. That's what
she should not lay demands.
Yes,
on the man.
Not marriage.
In the relationship.
So while you are in the relationship and
in the relationship,
you the man,
so
you are receiving such demands from your woman, and you don't think that it's a huge red flag, and you marry, and now she is demanding everything else that you have, even the last coin, and you think that it is by miracle that you got here.
It depends on the kind of woman you went in for.
Most of the things that happen indoors that you overlooked, in the end, they will look you in the face in public. So if by virtue of I'm in love with him, I'm in love with her, I am blinded by love, and he gives me this, he gives me that.
That is a choice.
And you overlook all those things.
The angle you are coming from
enter into the world of marriage and expect a miracle to happen that will change. Then you brought yourself there and have to face whatever consequence there is.
But this thing about this red flag thing, if we want to delve into it as deep as it should be, even being in the relationship is a red flag.
Really? Relationship
by itself is a red flag.
Okay.
I'm interested to understand that.
Okay. Where the choice you make as at that particular time You know, when you are not working, you know, monkeys play by sizes.
Yeah.
Your taste goes by your pocket.
And you can't go out with a woman. You can't go out with a woman and expect to be in the relationship, like you said, without sharing.
Yeah.
Sharing does not mean you should take your salary and give to the person.
Yeah.
No.
Sure.
Some of us, we have personal experiences. I was going out with my husband for a long time before we got married. And like you said, there was nothing. But there was love. There was care. There was sharing. He didn't have money. But the little he has, even if it was biscuit, if he's coming to my place, he'll just buy me biscuit. That time, these biscuits came. Milk, the blue, the
shortbread.
Shortbread, the one with the blue,
the blue, black,
and the ginger.
Charlie.
That was my love biscuit. He gets it for me, and there are times he won't even get it. But we moved on.
Yeah.
There was understanding. There was care, especially. So when it comes to the red flags, sometimes the person may not be in a very good mood, and certain explosions may happen. Sometimes, as women, we go through a lot when it's time for, our red days. We have hormonal issues. We are prone to getting angry easily. Sometimes we are in unnecessary cramps and we can't take certain things. That aside, when the red flags are seen, there should be a discussion. It doesn't mean you should quickly walk away. Address it. When you address it and the person does not change and it keeps happening, that is when you know that it is really a red flag.
So that means that red flag is not necessarily a weakness, a bad behavior, whatever.
It could be. But when the person starts beating you, that one is the
I
first.
think that's maybe
that
another
one,
discussion.
When the person is beating you, it's red flag. Red flag is a broader thing.
So that
now it could be
leg of
a
it.
prolonged situation that you see that
like
no,
lying.
this is not.
Yeah,
Like
so
the
that's
person
another
will
red flag.
constantly lie. Where were you? I went to church. Meanwhile, he or she was not
I'm
in
on
church.
the motorway. Meanwhile, they are at
They are
Kumasi.
Kumasi. Sometimes I'm in the salon and the person is not in the salon. Sometimes they are just not being truthful.
Yet you overlook all these things.
You can't overlook lies because the person will, once it's becoming a habit, habits are formed within 21 days. Mm-hmm. It becomes a constant thing if the person does not stop. By 21 days, it has matured.
So I think that red flag could also be basically what you don't want to tolerate. For example, because somebody may not be bad. Even the behavior may not be bad. But it could be something you don't like. And if you don't like it, the fact that you don't like something doesn't mean it's wrong. So, for example, I don't like the toothpaste, the paste, when you squeeze it from the middle. I don't like it. I love it to be squeezed from.
Should that be a red flag?
No, the point is that I don't like it. But the fact that I don't like it doesn't mean it is wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But somebody can say that, or even that could result in
and maybe he
argument.
Cannot deal with it.
And if you can't deal with it, walk out of it. Because you see, it's better to walk out of the relationship than to walk out of marriage.
Yeah.
And many times when we see the red flags, we find it so difficult to walk out. I'm counseling a certain lady, and she's in a relationship with a man of God. Okay, he's a practicing man of God. But anytime I'm talking to the lady and examine the entire situation, I realize that this man is just taking her for a ride. But she is clearly in love with the guy. The guy is good. The guy even gives her money and stuff. But I could determine that the guy doesn't love her. You see, the fact that the man is caring, giving you something, or doesn't mean he's the person you should be with. But unfortunately, she's not seeing the red flags. When she eventually saw the red flags, she stepped out. You see the point?
By herself.
She stepped out. When she saw it. But I had to help her to see it, because one of the job of a counselor is not to advise people what to do, but to help them to see the situation. You see? So it could simply be something That you realize that once you enter into, because you know I was talking about the subject of love. Look, if a person doesn't love you, no matter how caring it is, it's a red flag. Love is not care. Love is not even giving. People think that love is he gives, he cares. No. Women define love as care, and men define love as respect. But that definition doesn't really show what love is. Love is selflessness. So when you see that the person makes you a priority, that is where the point is. Because you see, somebody may even be womanizing, which I don't ascribe to, I don't agree to, I don't accept. But you still see that you are the priority of this person. You understand? So I'm not saying that in that case, go on with a womanizer. But I'm saying that even though he's a womanizer, you could see he loves you, he makes you the priority. You are stepping out because there is an attitude you don't want, you don't like. But that doesn't mean he doesn't love you.
I disagree.
It's a fact.
I disagree. I mean, why would you make somebody a priority, yet you can afford to move on with other people? You don't think that should be hurt by that?
That means you've not understood what priority is.
But
You see, we think that priority should automatically change a person. No. People change with time, and a lot of factors go into it.
Giving regard and respect
Listen,
to somebody.
a prostitute, that's the point. That's the point. A prostitute may still be
that.
prostituting and still be in love with somebody.
It doesn't mean the person. If you are the husband of such a person, how would you take it?
I'm not talking about the issue. I'm not talking about the issue of husband. We are talking about relationship.
Okay.
Because you see, in life, there are boundaries of everywhere. Relationship is not a place of boundary. Like where you have boundaries
so
like
we
it is in marriage.
We are restricted
exactly.
to
So
relationship.
you meet somebody who is a prostitute, and she's been in this all through, and yet you could see that she loves you and you love her. Now you have a responsibility to help her out of it. But the fact that she's a prostitute in quote doesn't mean it's a red flag. You understand? The first point is that the point I'm making is just has to do with the fact that we should not think that love is attitude. Because somebody has a very good and excellent attitude, but the person doesn't love you. For example, I believe I'm a very wonderful man. I'm a good man. I'm a romantic man. But I can never extend that to this woman.
Yeah.
I can only extend it to my wife. I can behave towards her with all the goodness I can release. But when it comes to the subject of love, it's a different thing. But the fact that I don't love her, in quote, doesn't mean I have a bad attitude. So the fact that I have a bad attitude, a good attitude, also doesn't mean I love her. Sometimes I even call her 24/7. Careful, even as pastors, we do that. And this is where sometimes even women or some of our church members get it wrong with us, where we give attention to them
but
and
why
they
should you
assume
give attention to your church members?
because attention varies. When we say attention,
at the expense of your
no, you are bringing expense when I didn't bring expense because I'm talking about attention.
Knowing how people can,
interpret.
we are in this in the era where love is less, and people are prone to falling in love with people who give them certain attentions. People are easily, people easily fall in love with.
They think
they love because one, homes are lacking love. Children are not brought up with love. Girls, that is how come our girls and our younger ones, they challenge me, I'm in love. Even at junior high school, she thinks she's in love because she's not getting love from the house.
Yeah.
Or from whatever institution he or she may belong to. So every little expression of Charlie, matofo na chel, it means the person is in love with you.
Exactly. So that is why the Gobe Show is there. Things like this, we educate the people.
Fortunately, the Gobe Show is here.
and
And we thank God for that. But if we have to educate them, then we have to let people know that love is beyond care.
Exactly the point I'm making. But so when I'm showing you the care, you see, let me land on this. When I'm showing you the care, I'm showing you see, attention and care, they are in various stages. I will give you attention, but the attention I'll give to my wife is different from the attention I give you.
But you and I, we can fall in love with each other because of attention, because of care.
It's good.
So
it's possible.
That is how come.
But that is why it takes
at the expense of your marriage.
No, you don't do that. That is why you see it takes a mature person to show love.
How many people are mature?
Because immature people receive love. Yes, that is why people like me, in quote, should be the kind of a leader. I'm saying like me, sort of because of my position as a pastor and as a counselor. Now I should
pastors,
be.
we can't trust you.
Oh, please trust us. I should be in a position whereby I show love from the point of maturity, knowing that there are, of course, boundaries. You understand? But you who is receiving the love, you may not be able to interpret it. Even children, even just last night, I went to sleep around 3 a.m. And when I fell down, my little girl, who is not up to 2 years, just jumped. She wanted to,
Cuddle with daddy.
with even the mom.
Oh, okay.
But the mom was also lying close to me, and she wanted to have her breast milk. So she just was pushing me
Go away.
Now she was using her leg to what? To push me. It reminded me of my firstborn, who was having this litigation with the mother when she was a little girl, because she was always on my bosom continuously. So it came to a point when the mother is even close to me, she wants the mother to be away. And I had to fight her to take it off. Now the point is that when we show people love, okay, let me use the word care and attention, they misinterpret it for love. You see, anyway, there are dimensions of love.
Yeah.
So when a man is showing you care and attention, it doesn't necessarily mean he loves you. Sometimes it could even be lust.
Yes.
That's why I'm using the word priority. You see, to know that somebody loves you, the person has made you his what? His priority.
I can make you a priority.
So,
even though you and I, we are married, I can make you a priority.
It's wrong.
And get whatever I want to get.
That is
from
lust.
you.
It's not love.
No,
It's lust.
that is where the priority has to be defined.
yeah.
Exactly. Priority.
It
So,
needs to be defined.
Yes.
If
So
not,
that's
it's
why
the same
I
thing.
disagree with that. So if I get your point, right? So the conclusion of the point is the fact that red flags are relative based on the person involved or the person perceiving it. What can be red flag to person A may be green flag to person
To another
B.
person. Exactly the point.
So it is for the individual to ascertain whether what they are looking at is a red flag.
Yeah.
So we may have to agree on this, that
Exactly.
indeed red flags are seen from the
You
perspective
know,
of
that's
the
why I
one
said that
who's
it has
on the
to
receiving
do-
end.
Exactly. It
So
has to
that
do
we don't, but definitely there are general ones. There are ones which are fundamental. That one, it does not necessarily mean person A.
You don't
has
need
it.
a soothsayer to tell you this is wrong.
You know the funny thing?
I'm coming before then. So the premise upon which I was saying all this is that red flags could also be what you cannot tolerate.
Yes. And that was the point I was making in the beginning, that whatever you cannot deal with, whatever,
Yeah.
whatever you cannot
must
stay with, okay,
It's a
it's
red
a red
flag.
flag. That signs of what you cannot stay with,
Sometimes
that you cannot live with.
Because there
from
are
the
people-
person.
there are
It's a
people-
red flag.
Yes, even that aspect, if it is addressed and then it becomes
Recurrent.
reoccurring,
Then you know still.
then you know it's
Yeah.
a red flag.
Yeah, even you've come to a
We
Until-
have
point.
super confirmed
Yes.
it. Yeah.
You've come to a point where you can't deal with. So you see, what I think is that there is no hard rule. Maybe the rule that I would say that is a pure red flag is when there is disrespect
Yeah.
and abuse.
So the fundamental ones.
Yes, the fundamental
The
ones.
bigger
Disrespect and abuse. And of course, I will still have to bring the word, you are not a priority. When you are in a relationship and even the person respects you, but you are not the priority, you should know that you are not going anywhere. Because you see, when the man makes his work the priority, yes, you have to work. And then you are not. Even the woman makes her work the priority, and you are not. And she has time for her work 24/7, and yet little time for you, and yet will tell you, I love you, and let's marry. You ask yourself, where do you place me? Whether man or woman. So
From that angle, you need to define it very well. Because if I'm working, assuming you are married to a pastor,
of course, you can't work 24/7.
yes, you can't work 24/7. But assuming you are dating or you are courting a pastor, and then he is working, he's
going to church,
working,
yeah,
he goes to
programs
church
here and there.
before he comes home at 7 or 8, sometimes
Consultation.
9, and then that is the only time he can call you on phone. Is that a red flag?
It's a red flag. I'm a pastor and I'm telling you it's a red flag. You see, that is where love makes the difference. You see, when a person loves you, he sacrifices other things for you.
So love is
God
sacrifice.
love the word
So
that he gave.
you're in the middle of prophecy at church, and then you remember they have to call your
know,
partner.
I went for a
and you
program.
leave the prophecy.
Yes,
hey, wait for me.
Anointing,
Let me
wait,
go and come.
I went for a program last
I think we have to
last
define
week,
it, really.
Saturday.
We
I went
have
for a
to
program
define
Saturday,
it.
and the man of God is very popular. He couldn't come, so he asked his son to come. And the son came, and when he mounted the podium, he said, first of all, that he's sorry he cannot spend time with us. He only came to say hi. Why? His wife doesn't demand anything from him. Even sometimes he had to force to give to the wife. But that that particular day that the program was on, the wife had already demanded that he should send her to the theater, like a wife show. So they were prepared to go for this program, and then this came in. However, he has to come and minister, but he will spend only few time and go and then be with his wife. In fact, we were very happy because we understand that, when you love somebody, you make the person the priority. You understand? Now, here is the case. This woman doesn't always demand for something, but the ministry is always calling for you, and you've given all to the ministry. Now, this is the time she needs you. Please, you are not there. Somebody says something. If you are the El Shaddai of everybody, you shall die. You see,
Yeah, it could be true.
Sometimes allow other things to happen. Even the senior minister had to allow you to come. You should also allow.
This whole thing
So sometimes when you love somebody, the point is that when you love somebody, you make the person a priority.
Yeah.
My wife is from Kumasi, and when I met her, I'm from Breku. When I met my wife, I could go to Kumasi like water. After we married, I don't go to Kumasi again.
What do you have in
I
Kumasi?
found what I'm looking at. I don't need
Kumasi too.
Kumasi is far for me. But those days, Kumasi was not far because I have something there.
Yeah.
Heaven is far from the earth. But God had to become man in order to, because of love.
Yeah.
So love is sacrifice. Sacrifice is not giving apple or money or whatever. It is giving yourself. The Bible says that, husband, love your wife. Now let me make this correction, which people get wrong. Let me just make it clear now. In Ephesians 5, the Bible didn't ask husbands to love their wives. Because, in fact, the truth is that nobody should advise you to love the woman. It should be natural. But how to love her is the point. So he said, love your wife as Christ loved the church and gave himself. He didn't give an apple. So in a relationship, you ask yourself, this marriage I'm entering into, is this man ready to give himself to me? Is this woman, ready to give herself to me? I'm not talking about sex, but I'm talking about a readiness to
let
pour
go
yourself into the next person.
And
that is what love is.
Red flags. This thing called red flags. If it's not being well addressed, people would even take an abuse. It could be verbal.
Yeah.
It could be those hitings.
Physical,
They could even accept it. It's happening in homes. It's happening in relationships.
The woman said, if he doesn't beat me, he doesn't love me.
You see? Because she's coming from a home where I have a neighbor. They fight in the room, hit each other, and their children are there. You know what their children do now? When their parents are out, they will be in the room hitting each other. And one person can scream and come out. You see, that girl, they are girls too. They are seeing it as it is normal. So when they grow up, they expect that from a man.
From the man.
So when a man is not beating her, she thinks it's not normal.
Love her.
You see the program.
So you see, to her, the beating is not a red flag.
It's not.
Exactly. So that buttresses the
But
point
the
I was
show
making.
has come to let you know that if somebody even keeps on verbally abusing you, like Kosia, wadrinye juma, unim say, wabon, uhukra nyefe, mafausa, please run. For the sake of your mental sanity, run. Don't take red flags. Uhusadia no pepe. Uka nanipa no onjaya, madam, bossu, walk away.
And there's one thing I want to add. Okay, everybody, like you were saying, for a counselor, you throw light on the issue, and then you allow the people to make the decision, right? When they don't make the decision, what happens? Whatever the outcome is, they bear the consequence.
They know that,
right? So you draw the attention of the people to what the red flags are. It is for them to accept it and take a step out of it. If they don't, and whatever happens, they bear the consequence. If they do, and it goes well, fine. Like you were saying, you know, for somebody who sees a partner beating another person, and they also enter into a relationship and they expect their partner to beat them, and you tell them that, I mean, this person who is likely to beat you will not help you, will one day kill you, and they tell you that it's a sign of love because they've seen that, and that appears to be their orientation. Such a person would have received advice from you and will ignore it because for them it is a sign of love. They enter into the relationship, the man beats them to death, like when we're saying what we're saying backstage about the woman who saw the signs and then stayed till she was killed, right? So when you are killed, you took the decision after you were shown the red flags, and so you have to stay and live with the consequences.
Yeah. You know, I was saying something about the issue of divorce, even in marriage, under the law. Moses allowed the people to divorce. And why did he allow them to divorce? The Bible says that because of the hardness of their heart. And the point is that was allowed because when a heart is hard, it means that it is dangerous, it is perilous, you can die. So instead of staying with a woman and maltreating her because of your evil heart, the woman is allowed, or you're even allowed to let her go because she's not your property. You know, she's God's child and she must be protected. So even that law was for the protection of the woman so that they would not be what? They would not be abused. How much more relationship? You see, the point is that a lot of people see the danger. I've said it over and over that 90% of the issues we deal with in marriage, we saw it in relationship. But in the name of love, in the name of emotions, and sometimes the love and emotional error even comes from the woman most. Why am I saying that? You see, normally women think that, some women anyway, they think that marriage is their security. Because that is what the society has made us to think.
That is the right word to use. It's not that we think. It's how you have
Society
been programmed
has programmed
from your childhood. It is the programming. This is the damage that it is doing. In fact, when we get to this stage, it's always some headache for me. Because there are so many things going on. If we are shifting into the marriage aspect of the whole deal, so many things going on in marriages now. Even me, sometimes I accuse the church of having a hand in it. Because when we go for counseling before we go into marriage, look, by the time you are 3 months in marriage, you are stuck. You don't know where to pass. Work pim. Because what applying, the counselor ni can first 3 months ni na crab e bi kra nye juma.
And that's why there must be post-marital counseling too.
Interestingly, even the post-marital counseling, by the time you get there are damages that are done and the scars are left there. It is difficult to forgive.
I think the point is that we actually miss what counseling should do. You see, so that is why, because counseling should help you to make a decision to go in or come out.
Counselors are not even professionals in churches.
Of course.
They have to be professionals.
They have to go and do psychology because mentally, people have mental issues. Look, there is this friend of mine.
I love what you are saying. It's very, very important.
It's very, very
but
crucial.
even most of the counseling on social media also is just social,
who
have become experiences, and then people who are
commentators who have become counselors and when they are not.
One time, a friend of mine was asking the question where, Sally, why should I get this challenge in my marriage? I asked him why. He loves his wife. If you see the lady, you equally fall in love. She's so pretty. And then after some 6 months of marriage, the lady was not getting pregnant. She became frustrated. At a point, she got pregnant and she lost the child. Now, the husband called me to complain that, Sally, come and see your sister. Now, if we go to church, when they call that anybody who is struggling to have a child, she will quickly run in there. He doesn't understand. Just 6 months, and you are this frustrated. You know, one time he confronted the wife, and the wife said, you are such a useless man. You think I married you for what?
Really?
So she has a mission.
She has a mission.
To give
that
birth.
She just wants a child.
Yeah.
She wants a child, but she wanted the marriage also. It's just that at that particular time, the way she communicated that particular issue was that bad. Wow. You know, it has hurt the guy up till today. Even though he doesn't talk about it with her, he talks about it with me, who is his friend. And then anytime he talks about it, I tell him, go and tell her. And he's in such an abusive marriage. The lady has power. The lady has the ability to verbally insult him.
And you ask yourself, did he not see signs?
He saw them.
He confirmed seeing them.
He
Right?
saw the challenges.
He saw every little detail of what she's doing. It's the same thing
And
that
yet
is
he
happening.
went in.
He went for it.
So
one
did
time,
he share why he still went ahead?
yes, I asked him why. He said because the lady is skillful, because the lady is intelligent.
His priorities on other areas.
Other areas. And then he's not, right now, 85% of marriages are not happy marriages. Everybody is enduring in their marriage. We are not really enjoying it, we are enduring. Because this red flag thing, until you talk about it, until you deal with it, you think tomorrow the person will change with prayers. Prayers don't change people when it comes to some of these things. You can even take the person to the best counselors in the world. The person, if he or she does not make up his mind or her mind to change, they don't change.
One of the reasons I think, what you say, I really agree with you. One of the reasons I think it happens that way is because people are too much emotional driven than reason.
I agree.
They want the emotion.
I agree.
Some people have to even walk out of a relationship, but the reason they are in is that they don't want to feel the pain. They don't want to be brokenhearted. Sometimes I tell people, go through the brokenheartedness.
They don't want to have excess.
I have
something as trivial like that.
I've seen it all. Look, it's good to be brokenhearted. I'm an expert in broken heart because I've experienced about 7 broken hearts.
Yeah.
Yes.
And you were the cause.
No, you see, there's a difference between 7 broken hearts and 7 relationships.
Okay.
7 broken hearts in one relationship.
Oh, okay.
You see, why? Because I was trying to make it work and it wasn't working. And she was also trying to make it work and it wasn't working. And we will go away, get broken-hearted, and then we come back because we were emotionally attached to one another or to each other until we came to a point and realized that no, this thing will not work. So we had to go our separate ways. And when we went our separate ways, I'm happily married. She's happily married. She's a good friend to my wife. I mean, we are just wonderful friends. You see, the point is that the fact that you are in a relationship doesn't mean it's meant for marriage.
Yes.
We may have entered it because we are children. We didn't understand. Sometimes, even if you have given birth and you still have to walk out and not marry, don't marry.
For the sake of the children.
I've always tell people, because when you enter and the person doesn't make you a priority, the person doesn't love you and stuff, you are dead. My wife, for example, I have friends that their wife, through their wife, they had financial opportunities and other breakthroughs and stuff. I don't have that as far as my wife is concerned because she's not coming from a rich home. But there's one thing about my wife that I say, I may never have gotten it from the richest man's daughter. That is submission, humility. I am her priority. I am her everything. And we've been married we are entering our 11th year now.
Congratulations.
No problems.
You have come far.
Very far.
By grace.
You see, absolutely no problem. My daughter and my son, my daughter is 8, my son is 7, and many times you see they will be playing, then they will be fighting. And sometimes we tell them, even we who are married, we don't fight. And you people are. Now, I'm enjoying the kind of marriage that I'm so proud of my wife, not because of financial, not because of status or whatever, but because of her humility and submission. It's working for me. And I feel it may not work for everybody, you understand? But the point is that when you are entering into marriage, find out what will work for you. What I enjoy in marriage, I didn't enjoy it in relationship. Meanwhile, I dated my wife for less than 1 month.
Yeah.
Yes. Before I went to see the parents.
1 year or
1
month?
month. In fact, within the 3rd weeks, I went to do the knocking.
Yeah.
And then we started preparing.
Really?
7 months exactly, we had our wedding.
Which of the mountains did you pray?
I didn't go. Look. The
You
point
didn't
is
go
that
to Atria.
I didn't go anywhere.
And this confirms something that
The only
I
thing
always
is
say.
that I was in my room praying about my marriage, and the Lord told me, don't pray about it. Do what I've asked you to do. So I had to stop that fasting and prayer and then focus on what I was doing. And my wife, out of the blue, came my wife. She didn't know me from anywhere. She said she heard the voice that you marry the person you are going to meet.
And
it just happened like
confirms something that I always share, right? That the duration of your relationship does not guarantee the success
of it. I love that.
That's a good one.
So
I love that.
If you've been in a relationship 10 years with somebody, it's not an assurance that you get to know everything about the person.
But there was almost a red flag I saw that would have pulled me back. I tell her and she laughs. And I'm surprised at that. She doesn't get angry with me. No. But when I met her, I think when I went to visit her at Kumasi the first time, there was one man who sells watch who came to her. I think she bought watch from the man, and then I think she had a problem with it. In fact, the way she really dealt with the man. And I was sitting there, I said, hey, is that what I'm coming into? In fact, I almost changed my mind.
That thing is a serious red
and I
flag.
tell her that, look,
Indeed
I almost changed my mind that day because the way she was so angry with the man and she behaved, and I'm surprised she's not angry with me since we married.
Yeah,
it's because you are not triggering.
I asked her why. She said that she was very prone to anger. Even her mother, she could get angry with her mother and stuff. But the first day she came to meet me, she fell in love with me. And she was so receptive and patient, and that day, And then she said when she went back, she asked herself, this is a total stranger. But look at how I've received. Why can't that become my behavior?
That is love
So
now.
she adopted
She said that is
behavior,
how, exactly.
which was inspired by you.
She was inspired by me.
Hey, that is the Holy Ghost.
She found what she wanted.
Yeah.
You see, so the point is that we all have differences. I saw what I would have called red flags. So I think we need to advise people.
Yeah.
Let me just say this directly to our listeners. Now, don't forget, this is Caris TV, and this is Gobe Show. Gobe, God over broken emotions. The point I want to make is that the fact that you see something wrong with your partner or you find a mistake, don't be in a rush to walk out. Don't be in a rush to call it off. Don't be in a rush to say, oh, this is a bad person. Sometimes give people space. Give them time so that they prove themselves. When consistently you realize that this is what is within this person, then you take a decision on that.
Yeah.
Do you agree to that?
Yeah, I agree. And also that goes to confirm the fact that, you see, you cannot find a perfect human being.
Okay.
You have to understand and accept that you won't find a perfect person. So if you apportion a certain percentage of something you can tolerate, and it is okay, it cuts it for you. If it's, say, 70%, and the rest of the 30 is something you can work with, can deal with, you can go with that.
I love that.
If it's 30 you can deal with, and the 70 you don't mind, you can go with that. So we have to come to the understanding that indeed we won't find that perfect person anywhere. And so whatever it is, part of it will be done. The rest of the work will have to be done by us when we enter. And we have to be sure that it's something we can work with. Also, you mentioned that about 90% of the things that the red flags which we see in marriage, we see in relationships.
Yeah.
One of the, funny red flags, but serious red flags that people overlook in relationships is the issue about genotype matching. You get it? Some people find it difficult to have that discussion during relationships. Some, it comes up only when they are about to marry, and through the counseling process, they have to fill out and go and run those tests. That is when they first get to know what their genotype is. They get to know their blood group. They get to know whether they are AS or SS or whatever it is.
SD,
and at that
SCD.
point, when they find that they are incompatible, it is dangerous for them to be with the partner they've been with for 5 years, for 6 years, for 10 years. At that point, they decide to still go on. And that's what I was talking about, consequences. In this case, medically, your attention has been drawn to it.
Yeah.
So if you still go ahead to live or move on with the person, whatever consequences that come out of it, you have to bear it. I know people personally who have taken such decisions, and I really wish them well. And it doesn't mean that if, for example, you are AS and your partner is AS, automatically your first child will have to be sickler.
Yeah.
Do you understand? It is a risk. It's likely that your first child or even the second child would be just a career and okay, and not an SS person. All of it is a risk. So, when you are sure that that is the decision you want to take, you should weigh all the possible outcomes and be sure.
But what if you tell the partner, to run the test and the partner is not ready to run the test?
No, the person
How?
has to.
What if the person doesn't
The
want to?
moment you start a relationship, I have a friend like that. She has gone out with almost 8 men already. When she decided, now I'm ready for a relationship, she's just a young girl. And then she will tell you, please, let's go and do this test before, because I want to take you serious. But if you don't do that test, we are not going serious. And if you are not going serious, then there is no need for any relationship.
Wow.
Yes.
I love that. I think that
she's firm on that.
Yes, I think like we're saying, people should not be emotional driven.
No.
Because normally I tell people that there are 3 types of love. One, the dimensions of love. We have the spiritual dimension, we have the soul dimension, and then we have the body or physical dimension. The spiritual dimension of love is reserved for marriage, not for relationship. And that is what we call the agapeo. Then we have the soul dimension, which is the filio. Okay, so the soul dimension is the dimension where you have to use your mind. That is very, very important. Then we have the physical dimension is the eros. That is the romantic dimension. Yes, you don't need to have sex in marriage. It's not allowed, okay? In relationship. Sex in relationship is not allowed. But you must also be able to ask yourself whether you can click
also for
emotionally.
That area.
Yeah.
That area.
Yeah, that area.
It needs to be punched on.
It's not allowed.
I don't agree with that.
Without accession.
Because there are a lot of messes going on just because of this thing.
For example.
Oh, please.
No, I want to understand that sex in marriage
that is
in
not
relationship,
allowed. In relationship,
it's not allowed.
It's not.
Yeah, it's not allowed.
Why?
It's not allowed because, you see, sex is sacred. And a woman doesn't have sex just for pleasure. A woman, by nature, has sex for commitment. You understand?
And sex
so
is
when
not
a woman
love.
gives herself to you, it means that she is committing herself to you. When a man has sex with you, it doesn't mean he's committing himself. So in order for our women to be saved, so that men will not take them for a ride, sex in relationship is not allowed for me. And my daughters, I will advise them because you see, women don't have sex for fun. They have sex when they mean business. See, but men, I'm coming. Men are not like that. They are not like me. I'm a pastor. Okay, look, by nature, we have sex without even our mind going into it. But a woman is not like that. Look, before a woman cheats, it means she's been pushed to the wall.
You know,
but a man can easily cheat and still be dying for his wife.
I'm looking at it from the perspective of a prostitute, right? They have sex at will because
that one is a profession.
So, and they are women.
No. The profession is different from the nature.
But you see, the thing is that let's be straightforward. This is Carrie's TV. This is Carrie's podcast, show, and it is a godly show. And yes. we espouse what the Bible says.
Yes,
the Bible puts it straightforward. Fornication. What is fornication? What is adultery? Fornication is having sex before marriage. Right?
That one is a modern definition, but not really the biblical standpoint.
Having intercourse.
The biblical definition of fornication is basically sexual, immorality, whichever form it takes, whether in marriage or outside of marriage.
So it means that it takes care of the adultery bit. Right?
Yes,
every adultery is where it's specific to marriage.
Yes,
that's what I'm saying.
But fornication goes beyond that.
Whatever it is has been clearly spelled out. So it's not for us to use our emotions and our theories and personal feelings to confirm whether or not it's something we want to do.
They are not theories. They are not personal.
It has been clearly stated in the Bible.
They are not
we
personal.
should not engage in it.
Even though the Bible says we don't engage in it. People are doing it.
Yeah, but
we are not saying that people should do it, but there should be more education on that.
That's why I wanted to make the point
that you're making. A lot is happening. Look, also, I don't know if by any chance 1 or 2 people have come to your office just because sex is not going on well in their marriage.
I do get that a
lot of
I
them.
do get that.
So imagine if something like that might have happened before the marriage.
Then what are you implying?
You see, that is the argument.
Yeah,
that's the argument that
you will learn in the relationship. Then when you enter or you discover some things. in the relationship.
Sometimes when we are going to buy certain drinks like
You have to try.
Asana, oh fine, masa.
Yeah, if you try and you don't like it,
No,
then
I
you
understand the argument. You
go to the next
yes.
one.
You know, this argument, you see.
Then we should go and buy the other one.
Who cares?
Danny, I think that this
may
argument
like it.
is rising because of the point we make as Christians, even pastors, which you also make, but I don't agree with, where we say that the Bible says. You see, before we say the Bible says, we must make sure we are not closing the argument. We are not closing the ability to reason out, because the Bible doesn't talk without why.
The reality.
So when we say Bible say thou shalt not lie, then we must find out why does the Bible say thou shalt not lie, so that when you communicate it to the person understand the reason. It's not a matter of Bible says. It's a matter of why did the Bible say so. That is why I came with the point that, look, the Bible says we should not have sex outside marriage because God loves women. Listen carefully. God doesn't joke with women. No. And there are certain boundaries that God put in place in order to help women. But it's so unfortunate that the women themselves are not seeing that these boundaries were for their good. And we are not against with the, and why should it? No, don't have sex because the man is not real until he commit himself.
Taste and see, for the Lord is good.
for the man is good.
For the Lord
and
is
when
good.
you taste, you know the
taste
consequences.
And see, for the Lord is good. That is one thing we should address also. Because I brought up this topic because it's going on.
Yeah, it's going on.
Bible says we shouldn't do it, but we are doing it.
So why are they doing it?
Why are they doing it? One. Secondly, sometimes people may not intentionally want to do it, especially the younger ones. Now we do body counts, right? People are doing body counts.
One thing that I hate.
Yes.
I just don't like even thinking about it.
Yes, body counts. And some people, it's pride for them. Some people too, it's just
flex.
Like, it's a flex. Some guys can say, I have done like 500 women, and they are proud of it. Some women may do, but we are not in the position to judge them. At the end of the day, the consequences thereof.
No, we are in a position to judge.
It's happening.
We are in a position to judge the attitude or the situation. And then judgment basically means taking a discerning decision on a matter.
Okay.
Yes, exactly. Because
I agree with that.
like you're saying, it is happening.
It is happening.
Yes.
It's happening.
But the point
right
is,
now,
why is it?
A church member.
Exactly. But the question is, why is it? Yes. Why is it happening? I'll tell you why things. I'm a pastor. Okay. Not just a pastor. I'm a founder of a church with branches. Now, why this thing is happening? Where the church got it wrong. I'm telling you. We thought that the best way to change a society is to give them more laws and more rules. That's what we think. That the more law you give them, the more you change them. But you see, when you read Romans chapter 8, the Bible says what the law could not do, in that it was weak through the flesh. So what many pastors don't know is that the law, when it conflicts with the flesh will overcome the law. So when people come into the church and we tell them, don't, we're giving them rules. The more rule we give them, the more they break it. The society has broken down because the church of yesterday was a church based on only rules. So you go to church and it's just like, instead of going to hear about God, let me put it this way, we go to hear about behavioral rules. So we come home with rules and we don't come home with God. There's a difference between giving God to the people and giving rules to the people.
Yeah, that's
where we got it wrong. Because people are changed by God, not by rules. If people are changed by rules, then the law of Moses could have changed everything.
Yeah.
Yet it couldn't change everything. So he said God had to send his son. You see, we have taken Christ out and we have made morality the object of Christianity. But morality is not the object of Christianity. Christ is the object of Christianity. And the Bible says that I will put in you a new spirit and a new heart, and I will cause you to walk in my status. So before somebody can walk in the rules and the laws and the status of God, he must have a new heart and a new spirit. That's when Nicodemus came to Jesus, Jesus said, look, except you are born again, you have no part with the kingdom. Yet we think that when people change their behavior, it means they are born again. So they come to church, stop fornicating, stop adultery, stop fornicating. Now, look at how it's going on. Why? Because we told them to stop fornicating, stop sexual immorality, without giving them the system that will help them. So, for example, we make wedding a highly compulsory thing in the church in those days. It became a headache that people had to have wedding before they see themselves as married. So once they don't yet have the money for the wedding, what do? They date for so long. And then they hide everything. Now, when pregnancy comes, they have to hide it and cause abortion. Meanwhile, these same people can go home and then have a simple ceremony. And then we must recognize them as a church that they are married, without them going through any sex stress. Now, everybody who wants to marry say, I'm preparing. How long are you preparing? We've made, they used to advise it, married there, you have to prepare, you have to prepare. So you have to get wet, you have to get incense in, you have to get stuff in chair. Me, I was even told you need carpet. If you don't, buy carpet before marriage, you can never buy carpet. Meanwhile, all the things I have today, I married before I got them. I married before I started business. I married before I started seeing money. And marriage has been a blessing to me. And so I tell people, look, don't postpone marriage until you are fully prepared.
But also
it is a mental preparation you need, psychological preparation.
With everything you've said, agreeable. But let's also not force people into marriages.
No, it's not a matter of forcing.
No, from the angle, I'm not, from yours, I agree. But it's another point.
Another point, yeah.
Where marriage has become like, if you are not married, you are aimless. Like, you don't have any life goals. You've not achieved anything. As if marriage is a trophy that you should take home and go and tell Ghana about it, like Guinness Book of Records is doing. When it comes to marriage, I think in the Christendom, a lot is happening. Too much damages are going on because of this wedding thing. Like you said, there are certain churches who won't even agree to customary marriages until until you come to the church. Meanwhile, left to me, per what I have learned now, the church shouldn't even poke their noses there. Because if somebody can do a customary marriage and go to the court and get it signed and get that comes official, why church? What has the pastor got to do with two families getting married? What is the pastor's business? Because I've realized that day, krano, your baby sasa obani papa no day obani ma wari no wahin. Ehono, eso no so some fan in Sambema.
Yeah, so that confirms that it's really about the families, not church.
Not church. That is one thing. I think it is high time we start programming people's minds too, because kwaya customary marriage crowd here niama bebre yan na yen society no ya man na yet say here niama bebre.
I have a viral video on this subject, but let me come in here. We're talking about red flags. Let's look at the red flags in terms of entering into marriage. That is the ceremony. You meet a lady who wanna have wedding, and without wedding, you can't marry. Is it a red flag? You need a man who is saying that I am preparing because I need to have a good wedding because of my colleagues and staff. And every time, let's marry, he's not ready to marry, let's marry, he is preparing. Is it also a red flag?
It is. It is so much of a red flag. If you are not careful, you will live your life to impress people. Because it is the impression you want to have on people. That is how come you are preparing for 15 years now, you are still not married to one woman.
So it means that as a woman, if a man is doing that, you need to, do you have to step out? Is it a red flag that you should?
If not, you become Lord of the Rings.
Okay, I also think that, seriously, when it comes to this subject, right, the two parties have to come to an agreement. See, because sometimes, like you're saying, the woman would want a very glamorous ceremony because of what she had always, they say the women always want their wedding to, they are married to be special and have a certain dream about it.
Better than somebody's
one. So because of that, they would want that. I mean, I don't think that there's anything wrong with that. You should be able to understand
How you want it to be.
Unless, of course, the woman is demanding for you to do something outrageous. For example, go and steal money, go and borrow money, go and do ABCD to make it my expected marriage, to make it that dream marriage.
That is her day, man. She needs to
it's my
enjoy her day.
So that dream I've always had. Whatever you will do to get the money, the resources to do this ceremony for me, then in that case,
it becomes a red flag.
It becomes a red flag sticking its head. And like you said, we should not be too quick to taking decisions in respect of what we see as red flags.
Okay.
Like when you were sharing the example of your wife, what she demonstrated to the man. I mean, something like this may not be something you have to be quick to decide as being a red flag for which you step aside. You have to understand that everyone has that. But the red flag, which becomes a pure red flag, is when they want you to do anything at all costs, even if it means go and kill your mother to get the money to do it for me.
Or maybe it's giving you some frustration.
Exactly.
But on that note, is poverty a red flag?
Poverty.
I think you addressed it when you
poverty.
Mentioned,
Poverty.
When you mentioned
that area.
When you mentioned
that was unemployment and ambition, but I'm talking about poverty as poverty.
Like
is it a red flag?
Is poor.
But
either the guy is poor or the lady is poor. But usually, if the guy is poor, is it a red flag?
Still against the backdrop of the point you made, right? You can see poverty. You can see that this person lives in poverty. There were stories about some of the WASI students, I think last 2 years. There was this WASI student who, is it Kofi Aduma, where a news reporter went to take coverage of in a typical village. Poverty, right? And made straight A's, I think 7 A's out of 8.
Yeah.
And
now he's in Harvard also.
Exactly, got the recognition. That boy was in poverty. But like you said, obviously was bright and had ambition. So poverty in itself, in isolation, not attached to anything, any ambition, obviously would be a red flag. But if you see that definitely this person has ambition. My roommate, for example, when we were in university, he was from a very poor background, Nandom somewhere. And he will leave school and go to farm. When school was vacated, he will go to farm. He will engage in very hard work to raise the funds for himself. When we come, like you can see the difference between me. Even me, I wasn't up there at all, but he was far behind me in terms of his standing.
Yeah.
But today, ask me where he made Ace when we were in school. He got first class. He's currently in UK as we speak.
Wow.
So if
that is an ambitious person.
So that's what I'm saying. That
That
we should
is
be
where
able
your
to
ambition
define
Where
it
ambition
well.
comes in, exactly.
Yeah, so we should be
An
able to
ambitious
define it
person.
well.
Exactly.
Some people can tell you their dreams, can tell you
The wishful thinkers.
Yeah, but they don't have any
things
drive. Nothing
at
pushes
all.
them.
Exactly.
Yeah,
They're always
they're saying-
talking. They are talkers.
Some people are married
like a
to
fairy
such
tale.
men, and right now the marriages are in messes
Yeah.
because the man has refused. And I'm there.
He's a lazy man.
Lazy man.
And yet,
So if you are not careful,
Yamebeye has become the excuse.
Nyame bɛyɛ saa
Ɛbɛyɛ
signboard
yie.
na ebu
Oh,
ya
mate.
ahwɛ o. Ɛbɛyɛ yie signboard ebu wɔ sɛ nya breku kwan no so.
Say, I don't find so.
Kwan no
Me and
so,
I'm the
yeah.
boo.
Like you were saying,
Me and I'm the
like you
boo.
were
Junction.
saying, when you don't use emotions and use reasoning in a situation like this, having discernment, right? You'll be able to tell that this person.
Master, if it
this-
comes to discernment,
No, I'm not talking about
spiritual.
spiritually.
Okay.
I'm talking about being able to decipher an issue, being able to reason through something and then envision, right? So you can tell that this person is just a mouthy person. He's just saying the things.
Oh, sometimes
You
you
understand?
Anyway,
don't know.
let me
Just
share a
saying that
story.
You cannot see a clear direction that this person is going.
Sometimes
Then you
you
have to
won't
know
know.
that this person, or you're being scared.
Let me share a story and then
Sometimes.
different dimensions of whether it's red flag or whatever. There was a young lady who wanted to marry, and then he met a guy. Of course, they agreed, and then eventually they went to the lady's village. When they got there, the lady's family said it won't happen. But then it was a long distance, so they had to sleep over so that the next day he would come. At midnight, the lady went to the man and told him, look, in this village, when you bring a woman here and they refuse you, it means they will kill you. But I love you so much, and I don't want this
Them
to
to
happen
kill
to
you.
you. So I want to run away with you. So they decided to run away. And whilst they were running away, the village guys saw that these people are escaping. So they had to chase them. And when they chased them, this guy was running. They went, and then they reached a riverside. and they couldn't do anything again. The people were coming. So in their desperation, then out came a mermaid, Mami Wata. And Mami Wata was like, hey, I can help you, but on one condition. If I help you cross, you will marry me. And being desperate,
He agreed.
he agreed. And when he agreed, he was at the other side of the river. And then he entered the village. Only women were in the village. And in that village, a man doesn't come there. If a man comes there, they will kill you. But you can only survive on one condition. So they put him in prison, and then he was waiting for the day of judgment. Once in prison, a certain lady went to him and said, look, tomorrow morning they will come and pick you to the Deba to kill you, but they will ask you 3 questions. And these 3 questions, whatever question they ask you, you look at me, you have the answer. So, but I'm going to give you the answer on condition that when you survive, you should marry me.
Hey.
So the time came, they sent him to the Deba, and then the first question, the queen mother actually prepared a meal with a cow. What was the color of the stomach of the cow? And he looked around to see the lady. Fortunately, he saw the lady, and then the color, of the lady, what the dress the lady was wearing, he mentioned that color. He got it correct. They asked the second question, what was the color of the head of the cow? He looked at the lady, he saw the color, the scarf, he mentioned.
To marry a cow.
And then the third one also, they asked the leg. Of course, he saw the lady eventually, and then he mentioned, he got all correct. Now, having got it correct, the reward is that 1, he will become the king of the land. 2, he will marry the queen mother. But the question I'm asking is, of all these 3 women, who should he marry? Do we see any red flag in this, in this different situation? They represent different aspects of relationship and red flags. What are the red flags in this?
Even the first, the way he was able to run with the first lady, and then they got to the riverside, and he agreed to marry the mermaid so that he will be saved and left the other person. Like, first of all, you mentioned, he didn't make the other lady his priority.
Okay. That is the first lady?
That's the first lady.
Because
he quickly agreed to save himself. I don't know whether he saved himself.
So it means that from the lady's perspective, that is a red flag.
That is a red
man
flag.
that in desperation, he leaves you behind.
Yes.
So when you are in a relationship and the person prioritizes his survivor
Whatever
more
it
than
is, you too can survive it. But if he quickly
thinks of himself,
and opts out just to have a comfort and leave you in a mess, you should know that is a huge
it's a red flag.
And also,
He's indecisive.
I see another red flag on the part of the Mami Wata, the mermaid.
Okay.
The mermaid took advantage of a desperate situation. And I think that happens a lot. People are on the lookout. They are like vigilantes. They are like security people watching,
waiting
to pounce, to launch out and take advantage of the situation. And so that's an exploitative person. And that's why I see there are people like that who would exploit the least opportunity for their benefit.
The guy also, the man himself, he's an exploitive person.
Yeah.
Because, yes, he exploited the other lady.
The first
the
one.
cow.
The cow, okay.
The one that wore the color.
Okay.
And promised. He made a promise.
Yes.
He kept making those promises. Made it to the Mami Wata. Entered another village. And went to make another promise to another woman also. There are people like that. They will be making promises and they are not able to. At any difficult moment, they choose the other person. Right now, he will still go for the queen mother and leave the cow there.
Why? Why would you go for the queen mother?
It's obvious.
It's obvious. You will become a king. That is a good opportunity. Why should I trade having a whole kingdom for you wearing a cow dress for me to choose colors for?
And this is a man
but he caused you to she caused you to survive.
It doesn't matter. I will appreciate you.
And this is a man who does not care what has happened to the woman he left at the bank of the river.
He doesn't.
Because for the townspeople to pursue the two of them, that means that the woman herself will be in trouble.
Will be in danger.
Why would she want to run away with the woman? Because she probably knows that what she's doing is wrong.
Risky.
So imagine what could have happened to that woman he left at the bank. So all through and through, he has demonstrated selfishness, and he just wants his way out, and that's about it.
But isn't the need for survival that made him to demonstrate that selfishness?
Every
you know,
man,
people want to survive.
You mentioned priority.
Yeah.
You know, people have been through. There are when my brother was talking, he spoke about this AS and then the genotype issues.
Yes.
You know, people knew that they were both careers, yet they got married. They gave birth to sickle children, and they are able to. We chose it. So we will push through and make sure those children or whatever the children we have, whether they are careers or whoever,
we take care of them.
Risk. They go through it. Two of them holding their hands. It's just like this scenario. One of them can back out.
Yeah.
Especially the men. They easily back off.
Especially if, for example, if the child, for example, if you have a child and the child is disabled or persons with disabilities, away. The men usually leave the women in the. It happens. I know people who are going through this. Exactly.
She carried the child.
And sometimes the men will even accuse the women of having bad wombs. Meanwhile, they knew that this was the issue that was on the ground. Some will go through, survive with you, push through, whether the child survives or the child passes on, they push through. And some take decisions where society or church or whoever will lambast them because they are not giving birth. They made that choice because of love. And they chose, because we are careers, and they're young.
Okay, now do you also see this as a red flag where they went to the village and the parents said no? So my question is, when the person you are in relationship with, the parent don't accept the relationship, is it a red flag or there should be a way out?
There can be a way out, but at the same time, it's a red flag. Sometimes, don't overlook that. Why? Why are your parents saying they don't want this particular person for you? I have experienced it before. When I was going to get married, my mother said no.
Okay.
Because she thought the tribe I was going to get married to wasn't going to help me. And secondly, my sister-in-laws, they were not going to, they were going to make things difficult. You know, my husband, he has 7 sisters. So my mom thought it's not going to be easy dealing with that, because 1 or 2 times we've met as families and she's seen certain things and she
also that is also a consideration,
yes.
The number of sisters or the...
Oh, no. She thought,
but parents do take certain things into consideration.
Some of them demonstrated.
When we met,
okay.
Some of them did certain things that...
Before the marriage.
Before the marriage. That my mom was like,
she was alarmed.
Are you sure that
signals,
these people will make life easy for you? And I kept saying this. As for my sister-in-laws, the relationship you start with them determines your future in the marriage.
Okay.
It's either you don't make them your friends or you make them your friends. The choice is yours.
It's yours.
But the kind of people they are.
Okay.
So when my mom said that, you know, frankly speaking, she was not happy. She fought it. She did all she could, but I insisted. But when we got to my father's place, the only question he asked me was, are you ready? That was all my father asked me, and I said yes. He asked me, can you? I said yes. Because he knew that from his angle, he was not going to choose a man for me. But he could only ask me that question.
Your readiness and your...
My readiness. And one time, I remember at dawn, he called me on phone and asked me, are you sure you are going to be safe? Your security, your stomach, as in food, provision, your shelter, everything will be secured for you. It doesn't mean you are not going to help the man, but are you sure?
Are you sure of where you are going?
Yes.
Okay.
And they were trying to just pinpoint the red flags they saw to me. So the choice is mine, and the consequences are mine to bear. So as much as your parents may see those red flags and you keep pushing, just make sure that the consequences thereof is yours to bear. And don't apportion any blame to anybody.
But what about the partner's family, if they also reject it? So I'm interested in knowing the place of money, because I asked an earlier question, is poverty a red flag? Okay. then we move to the story. But I want to know the place of money. If poverty is or not the red flag. The financial situation. How would you determine a red flag in terms of the finance in the relationship?
Okay. In that aspect, per my understanding, I know so many people may not agree with it, but let's be real. Somebody's son has come to propose to you. I'm in love with you. And then you want him to become your father.
Father as in a financier.
A financier. If he has the means to.
Okay.
If he's a cherished giver, that is his own thing to deal with. But for you to feel entitled to his monies because you think he's your boyfriend.
Push it.
No, you see, because
Be careful. It doesn't tend to.
I'm wondering who are the many people who don't agree with you.
No.
I mean, how would anybody disagree with you on this?
The men will like it because it's for them. But that
comes also with your demand as a man. Because what are you demanding in a relationship as a man? You made
in recent
you
years,
create that entitlement.
We ask, what do you bring to the table as a woman? And those are some of the things we should look out for when we are in relationships. When we are in relationships, you can't just be going out with anybody.
Yeah.
What are your reasons for going out with that person in the first place? Why? Ask yourself that question. Why do I want to go out with Dan? Why do I want to go out with Osofo? One, it could be his personality. It could be that he's rich. It could be he has dreams, he has ambitions. So me, as a lady, what am I bringing on
board
to help you achieve that, and for you also to help me achieve my goals? If I'm in school and then I have to buy certain handouts, and I ask my dad, he's not able to afford it, and I ask you, and you help me with it, it's fine. But it doesn't mean he's responsible for you, your fees, your accommodation, everything about you. No.
So are you saying that if a lady feels too entitled,
it's a red flag.
You become she wants you to this is what you must do, it's a red flag? Because
I believe as a woman, you yourself should be able to empower yourself. You can become anything. You can become good. You can become better. You can become an achiever to support your partner. We are meant to support each other. That is what is happening in our system now. So now, once we are all trying our best to support,
and you become a burden,
you don't have to become a burden.
So you, the man,
and the man, you are not supposed to be stingy.
Yeah.
When you have to give, you have to give.
Yeah.
When you see that your girlfriend's phone is spoilt, if you can afford even a yam for the person, please do.
Yeah. Does it work the other way around? If your boyfriend's phone is spoiled,
we do it.
We should do it, or we do it. You are saying the women do it as if it's their responsibility, but the men.
No, the men also do it. But I mean that it's not by force. You need to do it if you have the means to. That is where you don't have to be stingy. You can't be buying shoes for yourself and see that your girlfriend has only one shoe, and you don't try to buy her a shoe. Those are some of the petty things that makes love like blossom. It's sharing until you start. One time I read a story, and the guy said, the title of the story I have forgotten, but he said he was going out with a lady, and to him, it's about love. It's now about money. So every time they go out, he doesn't go out with her at all. He only goes to her house, and she also comes to his house. And then one time, the lady asked for a help, and he didn't give the help. And he asked the lady back on the phone that, can't we just do this thing without asking me money? He said from that day, the lady never spoke to him. He called her. He said, I broke up with you 3 days ago because you didn't give me that money. And he said, then it means you are a gold digger. She said no. So he felt hurt. He waited for days. He went and pleaded. The lady said no. The lady
Hey.
didn't take, and that was the third relationship.
When did that happen?
Wait, that was the third relationship he was going into without, and the first two is the same thing. He was stingy. It was trend. So he said he got to the fourth person, and then he was one day they went out, came back, and the lady gave him a perfume. And when the lady gave him a perfume, he saw the tag on the perfume, and the perfume was worth 1,005 cedis. He said,
shocked.
is that a joke? This lady. Okay, so one time he also decided to take the lady out. So he took the lady out, and the lady was so happy, and the lady said, can we be doing this thing more often? It doesn't mean we should come to a fancy restaurant. So from that particular lady, he learned to give. He saw that love is sharing, love is giving, love is money in their context. The kind of
I think you are specific.
Yes.
But you know, it's.
So at the end of the day, he married that lady, and he saw that, he came out to say that indeed, when you are in a relationship with people, you need to share.
Yes, I think love includes sharing. It demonstrates itself.
But when a man is excessively stingy,
it's a red flag.
It's a big red flag. We are.
What about when a woman is stingy?
It's a red flag.
So I think that.
But you said something that, we don't have to take on responsibilities that are not ours. I think you said that.
Yes, we are not supposed to.
Yeah,
but if I'm not taking on that responsibility, the lady might see me as stingy. I know a young man who wants to marry a lady, and the lady's issue, school fees, and this man is saying, I'll pay the school fees, but for now, I don't have it. Can you give me some time?
Then she concluded that
she was not comfortable. But like you say, it's not the responsibility of your boyfriend to pay your school fees.
No.
In fact, one of the reasons I married my wife very early was she had just completed SHS and wanted to further education. And so when I told the father my intention, and then I said I wanted to marry her, he was like, she's going to school. And I said, well, I will take care of her education, but until I marry her, I won't do that. And I promise you, if you allow me to marry her, I will do it. But until I marry her, I won't do that. So when I married her, we gave birth to our firstborn, secondborn. Then I sent her to the university. She's now a graduate and preparing to do even her master's. The point is that when you have not married a man or a woman and you are taking care of the person, know that it is a philanthropic work you are doing.
Yeah, you're helping.
It is not entitling you.
You're helping the needy.
You are helping the needy. It is not entitling you.
It's not helping the needy.
You are helping the needy.
You went for it. It's a choice.
No. It's a relationship. It's not a marriage.
I'm not spoiling it.
The point is that when a relationship becomes marriage, it is a red flag. It's a red flag.
Taking off my
No. When relationship becomes marriage, it's a red flag, because you see, the reason we are concerned about red flag is this. Red flag simply means that when you enter into such a marriage, you will break down. Now, when relationship is treated as marriage and you enter into it, you would have started enduring what you should be enduring rather in marriage, because the demand for marriage is so high. But you see, it all comes down to where there is sexual intimacy. And that is why we're talking about sex. When a relationship becomes sex, it's a red flag. Dangerous one, because it exposes you to entitlement.
You are talking from the aspect of the deal.
It's a fact.
I wish that I also come in, on the part of the finances, right? Before we go to
we are talking about the sex. Okay.
Before we go to the sex.
Okay.
I think that really I couldn't have agreed with you both more. The truth is that, like you are saying, people have assumed roles that they should be taken in marriages instead.
They assume it in relationship.
Do you get it? So obviously there will be signs that you will see that will give you an impression or an indication that indeed this person will be a giver. This person cares. Like you are saying, when you see that the person's phone is spoiled,
just get it if you can.
And you are in a position to help.
You have to.
And she has not asked you for it. You have to apply wisdom to assist. It is not a demand. So we have to draw the line between a responsibility or demand as opposed to lending a helping hand, so that if it does not come, it is not a problem. If it comes, all the better.
You appreciate it.
Do you
That's
understand?
all.
So I think that it's one thing we all agree on as we speak here. Another dimension I want us to avert our minds to is when the woman in the relationship is interested in knowing what you do, how much you earn, what is in your bank account.
It's also a red flag.
Should that be a red flag?
I think.
Answer it for yourself.
No,
No,
I
we
think
can discuss
when it becomes.
It's a red flag.
No, it's a red flag when.
If you guys are not married, but if you are married, you can. If you don't have anything to hide, you can tell your wife.
No, you see.
No. I'm not talking about in marriage.
In relationship.
In relationship.
Oh,
In
no,
relationship.
you are not supposed to know.
No, it's a
To
red
me.
flag when the request is sort of the demanding aspect. Okay, because sometimes it can come out of genuine concern in your
The
preparation.
intention.
The intention and even the action matters a lot. When I met, sorry, I always talk about my wife.
Because
Why do you have to
that's
say
a
it?
reality.
That is
of
what
it.
I
You don't have
have.
to be sorry.
When I met my wife, the second time she came to me, she actually came with a banknote. And everything in the bank, she handed it over to me and told me, take this. It's the money I've saved over the years.
Then your
And I'm
wife
giving
loves
it to you. Yes, just a relation. The relation was not even 1 month old. For me, I tell people,
What trick did you?
Asemo.
I'm even stammering. What
I
trick
think that
did
if
you?
you use their marriage as a benchmark, a lot of
I tell
people marriages will break.
don't use my marriage as a benchmark because there are things that happen in my marriage, and I'm like, I tell people that it's just grace, okay? And I advise people don't follow my footsteps.
It's your energy
because,
as well.
I had a son, a spiritual son, who followed my footstep in quote. He wanted to have the same experience I had.
crashed.
He crashed. It was terrible. In fact, he's the
time.
guy I was talking about earlier that the woman even,
Went out.
No, I had him arrested for some reasons. Because I was trying to call him and I tell him that, look, don't follow my footsteps. I had a different experience. Because here's a case, a woman brings a bank account to you and then says, take it. Again,
In a
my promise
relationship,
ring, she bought the promise ring for me.
You promised her a ring
She bought the promise ring
for you to
for
give
me
to
to
her.
give to
For
her.
you.
Hey,
her.
she's lucky she didn't
And
become the
yes,
lord
a
of the
woman when
rings.
she came to me the first time, when she met me
Hey,
and she
then
was
she's in
she
love.
was leaving. The next time I realized that she wrote on my table, the wall of my table, the leg of my table, I love you. In fact, my wife
that's a
fell in
beautiful
love with me in
gesture.
a way that I found it a privilege, and I loved her back.
And that's where a foolish,
I
a
loved
foolish
her
woman
back.
in quote will take advantage of such a
If
person.
yes,
see?
yes,
You see?
for my
You
wife.
Oh, this
So now
one.
you
Oh,
see.
yeah,
In fact, I could have taken
Yeah.
advantage of her, and if I did that, I was going to kill her, and I would have,
Break her.
I would
She
have,
will never believe
I would have
anybody.
abused
Yeah.
the grace of God.
Yeah.
Let me put it that way. You see, sometimes God gives us grace, but we take it for granted. If you find anybody taking your generosity for granted, it's a red flag.
Flag. Run.
Yes, because she brought me this money, and then she got me the promise ring, all these things. Okay, now for me, it was a green flag seeing these things.
You were happy.
And I
Men are always like that.
Oh yes, we want to be
Yeah,
at
let
the
him know.
enjoying
You
side.
people are always like that.
We want to be at
But
the
if we
enjoying
show you
side.
small pepper, you begin to say all women.
But you see, the sharing thing we are talking about, like I'm saying, she shared. She shared out of love, out of her innocence. But I didn't have to take advantage of her. If you meet somebody and you share with the person, and the person takes it for granted, it's a red flag. Yet here's a woman, despite she gives, the little I give her, she appreciates it. And she'll behave as if I've given her
The world.
the world.
That is love.
Sometimes I even think it's over
Exaggeration.
appreciation.
It's because she doesn't feel entitled to
She
it.
doesn't feel entitled. So where
And
there
she
is
had really genuinely fallen in love.
exactly where there is entitlement and all that
beginning
stuff,
to fall in
there are a lot of red flags that we have to see in relationship.
But
But
maybe
I,
we can go on to the sex. I'm done with my point.
You-
There was this point
you are
I
interested in the
wanted,
sex?
I wanted to make, in respect of the point she made about women.
Yeah.
It looks like society programs women for marriage. When she's growing up, hey, make sure you work well. So make sure you work well. One day you go
Can I
into
cook?
you
Can
go
I
into
learn how to
marriage.
cook?
You marry. You are supposed to learn how to cook because you have to go into marriage. It's like every and anything the young girl does is indirectly preparing her only for marriage. She is not prepared to be an ambitious woman, to be an achiever. she's
To be
prepared,
independent.
To be an intellect.
she's prepared
Yeah.
such a way that she has to depend on a man.
Yeah.
Do you
To
think that?
survive.
Do you think that the story you shared about the lady who gave the guy the perfume? Do you think such a person doesn't have that empowerment mentality, doesn't have that self-seeking mentality, so that they don't necessarily depend on gifts or other people, but they have been brought up in a way that they know that without a man, I can be.
survive.
I'm not saying that I'm not for the extremist feminist, philosophy where women are.
No, this is not
but
feminism.
That
This
is
is
their choice.
Empowering,
Even them,
empowering
it's their
women
choice.
fundamentally,
Me,
so that
I
they
like
don't,
them. It's their
they
choice.
don't
Every woman
become dependent on the man.
exactly. Every woman must be empowered.
Look.
And they must be independent.
That particular
When a woman
thing-
is not independent and she's going to totally depend on you, it's a red flag. For me.
and even
For you.
when it
Yes,
comes to
it's
the-
a red flag.
But what about?
Don't make me.
No.
and
Wait.
even-
What about that one? A woman is supposed to depend on a man. Biblically, men are the head.
No. You
So
see,
that is in terms of direction of the family and
not even so. You see, we even got it all wrong in terms of the man being the head. There's a difference between being independent. Sorry, let's not even use the word independent. Marriage is interdependence.
We are
Okay,
talking
there is no
about- we are talking
independence
about-
in marriage.
no, we are
The
talking
man
about
should not be
before-
independent. The woman should not be
We are talking
independent.
about before
Before
the
the-
woman
Exactly,
meets-
the relationship.
Uh-huh.
The
Before the
relationship
woman meets
itself.
the man,
We should
she
find.
has to be such that she can stand on her feet by herself. That's the point.
That's
But once
one I agree
once
so
you align with
No.
somebody else,
Even with that, let me
then
let
you
me
are
adjust
supposed to
it.
interdepend.
Let me even adjust it. Every human being growing up must learn to be interdependent. Any human being who is independent is a dangerous person. Because, in fact, independence is not even a reality.
You think
No
so?
nation is independent.
No, but
No,
people
there's a
can be
context to this,
independent.
oh.
No nation, nobody is independent.
There's a context. I get
People
where-
are.
Nobody
I
is
get where
independent.
I get where you're
Nobody
going to.
is independent.
But there's
People
a
are
context to this,
independent.
right?
Even in marriages, people
Let
are
me even
independent.
give
They
no.
take care of
When
themselves.
when
They do everything for
interdependent.
even in
themselves.
marriage,
even as we are here,
where there is independence
we are
in
here,
marriage, the
right?
marriage cannot survive.
You think so?
Yes, and let me explain why.
There has to be
So,
dependent for that one.
They
yes,
cannot.
Yes.
Independence is not an actual reality. Let me say, even nations.
is.
Ghana is not an independent country. America is not an independent country. Now, the independence, unless you want to define it as, making your own rule, where Ghana makes their own rule,
Sovereign.
then sovereign. So Ghana is independent. But human being is not possible. Let's even take Karis TV, for example. Karis TV cannot be independent. Karis TV would need my contribution, your contribution, this person's contribution. Then Karis TV put everything in place. We also need whatever Karis TV has put in place so that we can, deliver whatever we have to deliver.
In
The
that
CEO of
context.
Karis TV may not be as eloquent as we are. Okay, let me even use football for example.
coaches,
the coach cannot play the ball like Messi. No coach can play than Messi. Yet Messi is coach.
Yeah, Messi.
You understand? So the man being the head. Okay, the point is that the man is the coach of the home. The man cannot be independent, and the woman cannot also be independent, but they can be, interdependent, where this person needs this
But
person.
those things are
When a
happening.
woman you are preparing a woman. Look, for me, independence is a red flag. When a woman
It
is
shouldn't
being
be a red
prepared,
flag.
or a young lady is being prepared for the future, and she's prepared to think independently, be independent, and behave independently, she's dangerous. When she comes into that relationship, she cannot, that's what we call it, relationship. She cannot relate well in the marriage because there are some ladies, they are antisocial because they've learned to be socially
I think that-
independent.
I think you are-
when
you
your
are
family
over-
come into the house,
You are belaboring the point. You are over expanding it beyond the
Look.
scope of what it is intended for. Now,
What is the intention
The
here?
intention is this. A lot of our young ladies have fallen victim to predators, who seek sex and other things from them to offer them financial support or one support or the other, especially our big men. Anytime you go into companies, you find young ladies sharing stories of themselves being asked for sex before they are offered positions, before they are offered money. If a woman
that doesn't come under the
please.
subject of independence.
That was the independence.
We
I
are
was
talking
referring
about
to.
relationship.
No, I'm trying to say that
He was
right
talking
from
about
get go.
Then you are not talking about
No.
independence, you are talking about empowerment.
Well, that's what I'm talking about.
That is the point.
I actually mentioned empowerment.
Yeah,
I think
so-
empower the young lady.
Ladies,
But you
to
empower her
empower
to be
independent.
To be independent.
In
so that
order
they
not
don't
to
depend
depend
their
on the
man
men.
Primarily for survival. That's the point I'm making.
Okay,
So if
agreed,
and that's
agreed.
the context I'm leaving it.
Yeah.
So we are not supposed to expand it beyond, because indeed the universe is interrelated, interconnected, right? We couldn't have been here if this chair wasn't here. Imagine us standing. Would have needed this chair to be here to sit on it, right? And so on and so forth. So when we open it too much, then indeed that does not help our point of empowerment and independence.
So that is
the
where
point is
that is where the
young
point
women
must be.
The young women should not be prepared
Only for marriage.
but should be given attention in other areas so that they stand on their feet, in order not to be taken advantage of by people who are set out to
So
destroy
that
people.
they won't expect their boyfriends to be taking care of
Yes.
them.
That
You
is the
think-
point
you think
we
if
are
a-
all
if a
making.
lady-
But
if
we
a lady-
shouldn't
a
make
lady
it
is-
in
if
a sense that we shouldn't make it in a sense of independence, because I have problem with this independence, because a lot of young people in the name of independence have learned to be antisocial.
So they are abusing independence.
Exactly. But
So
the
there's
point
an
is that
abuse of it.
empowerment.
So there's an abuse of it.
Exactly. The
Sometimes
empowerment
it's experience.
is the fact that, look, the young lady must be empowered to be economically, should be able to take care of herself. The young man should be able to take care of himself. That when you come together, both of you are able to take care of the family.
So when the young man is able to take care of himself, what is it called?
Well, he's empowered, but he's not independent. Because you see, when we bring the subject of independence
in this case, he's independent of his parents.
No. You can't even be independent of your parent. Unless your parents, in quote, unless your parents are poor that they can't give you the help for your next level.
You
In
know,
fact,
there
all
are
of us,
people whose parents are very rich,
Yes.
right? But have made a decision that they won't take up to a certain age.
Maybe 20.
They've decided by themselves that they won't depend on their parents anymore. They won't live with their parents. They will go and get their own way.
it's not a right way of living.
I mean,
And let me tell you, it's not a right way of
imagine-
living.
No.
So such
We're
a
not
person-
understanding this whole concept.
Such a person is having an.
Let me explain why it's not a
of
right
his
way
parents.
of living.
Okay.
Let's take the prodigal son, for example. He received the property and he wanted
But it
independence.
looks like
That time.
No, he
let's-
wanted independence. That is the same way. You
That
see, it
time.
affects marriage.
That-
If you are an
That's what I'm saying,
independent
that you are
young man,
expanding it. If you overexpand it, I
you
agree
agree
with
with me if I will
I-
expand it.
Yeah, I agree
but
with you
that
on
means
all
that
those
the
aspects.
context,
Yes.
we
So
must
that's
put
why I
it.
want us to leave it in the context.
No, you see,
of the discussion.
the
we are having.
context of the
Do you get my
discussion
point?
must be in the right context. Here is the point. The point is that we are talking about red flag. You meet a person who is so self-absorbed that I don't need my parents, I don't need anyone, I can be myself.
Survive on
And
my
then
own.
why do you need me?
No, you went for the person.
If somebody is not,
You
you see,
chose the person.
it's a red flag if you meet somebody who is
Who thinks that-
self-sufficient.
Who thinks that they don't need anybody?
If look, you
It's
must
a
need
red
my
flag.
money as a woman. If you are so, I'm telling
that's
you, if
why
you are
I'm not,
so,
I'm not going to
no, I'm
agree
not saying
with
that.
it.
Listen, if you are
I
so,
must not need your money
you
as
must
a man.
need my money. Not listen. My wife has a business. Okay, let me tell you. Recently, I put it on Facebook, and I was joking, and I asked, "Why is it that I'm always owing my wife? Is it only me? Come and see the comment. Everybody say me too. Oh, I'm always owing my all the men. The women who can say, "Also, it is normal." My wife has made me to understand that her business money is a business money. You understand? But my money is our money.
Yes, it's
So
true.
even though she has,
what is
I'm
the
telling you, even
ideal?
though she
That's
has
what she said,
her,
but what is the ideal situation? What is it supposed to be?
the ideal situation is that my money, she must need my money.
Of course.
Exactly, but if she's like that, if she's in a position,
whatever belongs to each of you.
no,
one
I'm
person
coming.
belongs to the
I
other
understand
person.
because you see, when I started understanding that
business money.
her business money is a business money, the business
you to
is
your
growing.
business money
I'm
is
coming.
your
No,
business money.
the business is growing. That's where we have the head. The reason my money is a money is that even though she has money that
You are
she
the one
supports me,
responsible for the home.
no,
Yes.
she supports me. She tells me that. She tells me that she enjoys my money more than she enjoys her money.
I mean,
they
And
all
I'm
say-
happy about
they all
it. This
say-
is a woman who can take care of her feeding.
It's like
And
a
yet
woman
she needs
preparing
me.
jollof
And I
and
need
enjoying another
and
person's
you
jollof.
see, that is what I'm saying, that for me, it's a red flag when you meet a woman who doesn't need, in quote, your money, she does it that
Why
without
is-
you.
why is that particular thing a
without-
red flag
Yes,
for you?
because
But
you
for
see,
somebody-
because I must fill a gap.
But for somebody, that
Is
is a
it
green
that
flag.
relationship-
makes your
For
ego
somebody,
to
it's
be
a green
bruised?
flag.
No, it's not ego. It's not egoistic.
It's ego.
The point is
This
that
thing is
On that
egoistic.
score, on that
See that
score,
the
I
point
think
is
that's
that
where the individual
I must
decides
listen.
what
I
is a
must
red flag for
feel
them in
a
that
gap,
particular
and you must also
circumstance.
feel a gap in me.
In the marriage.
If you are so, let me use the word
Self-sufficient.
if you are self-sufficient, what is my role? Is it only sex? Is it only putting my name, like Isaiah chapter 4? He said, a time will come, 7 women will take 1 man, and they will say that we will buy our food, take care of ourselves. All we need is your name. Look, there are women who are economically so empowered that all they need is the name of a man, or for people to know they are married, and they enter into marriage, and this marriage breaks up. Why is it that a lot of celebrities, a lot of rich people, their marriages break up?
And that's the
because
point I was coming to.
they learned that so-called independence. I can do it myself. I don't need a man. Yes, certain point we understand,
Also,
but it must
sometimes-
not be to the point that
Sometimes it's
without
not-
the
it's
man.
not the finances that
And-
makes
and
the
that-
marriages break.
Yeah.
Sometimes
No, I'm
it's
not saying it's the
And
only
you know
thing.
that-
What
you
I'm
know
saying that
do you
it's
know
also a
that- do you know that what
contributing
you're
factor
saying-
where the woman is a side that she doesn't see my need because she's capable of solving all her
Now,
problems without
let
me.
me make this point.
No,
Let me make this point.
Why
What you are
shouldn't a
saying
woman
brings-
have
brings
that?
to light.
that?
because it breeds room for
filling a gap and need,
self-sufficiency.
having
A
needs,
woman
right?
should be self-sufficient.
No, you
It's not a
shouldn't.
crime.
A man should not be self-sufficient. A woman should not be self-sufficient. Everybody
Must be
must be
dependent
weak
when-
without the other partner.
Okay, so now listen.
In that context,
Everybody
Listen.
must be weak
What
without
if
the
the
partner.
person decides not to marry?
No, that
You
one
understand?
is a different
Yeah,
thing
so-
altogether.
So you cannot
It's
make
the
that
same-
point.
Even with that,
with a
even
broad stroke,
if you
right?
decide,
Now,
I'm coming.
here's-
If you decide not to marry, let me even.
You are
make it-
100%.
No.
You are
Even
100%.
If you decide not to marry, the only thing you should not need or you will not need from another person is sex. You will
Exactly.
still need somebody's money, somebody's advice, somebody's comfort, somebody's time, everything.
If a
That's why I'm saying that there is nothing like independence, and everybody needs
If a
somebody.
person is
But if
now,
you
let me-
find somebody
it doesn't mean
who
the person
doesn't need
advices from
anything from
anybody.
you, who doesn't need you, it even means the person doesn't love you.
And you see this
It's
where
a red
people say
flag.
that when you marry,
It's a red flag.
when you marry, then the woman comes to complete you. Does it mean that you are 50%?
It's not a matter of
if
thing.
the person- if
It
the
means
person-
that.
if the person decides not to marry, are they not 100%?
Listen, no.
Do you understand?
Listen,
If the person
listen.
does
Nobody
not
is
marry,
100%.
and
Everybody
besides,
needs somebody.
Marriage
Yes.
is
The
a
point
choice.
is that if you meet
Marriage is a
somebody,
choice.
even outside of the
Then
context of marriage,
automatically a 50% gap. You
look
have a
at
50%
something.
deficit.
The difference.
I think you have to come with 100.
No.
So that it becomes
The
200.
difference between, let me use Sally for example.
Yeah.
The difference between me and Sally, in quote, and sorry for this word, is sex. Okay,
There is
when you
no
put
sorry
sex
about
away, I need Sally 100%, and she needs me 100%. In fact, one of the major reasons for marriage, even according to the Bible, is sex. Yes, this
And
is deep.
sex and creation.
Exactly,
Procreation.
procreation. And even procreation is a product of sex. When you put
It's
sex away,
procreation.
yes,
It's
procreation is a
procreation.
product of sex. When you put sex away, okay, when you put sex away, whatever you need from your wife, you will get it from another woman. Whatever you need from a man, you get it from another man. So even if
And
you don't
even
marry,
more.
you need something from somebody. So if a person you are going
so
to
my
marry,
point
let
is
me
that
laugh.
make you
Let me laugh so that
incomplete?
no, I'm coming. Let me laugh. So when you meet somebody who is so self-sufficient, such that sometimes a woman is scared. Maybe I give you 5 friends, so I have it's okay, take it.
Oh,
I
as for
have.
that one,
No.
yeah.
Oh,
So
I can
those
take
things-
off my. That is
obviously-
where it comes from.
obviously those things
But
are not
when
what
we
I'm
talk
referring
about
to. Those are
empowerment,
extremes.
when we talk about
You get
empowerment,
it? Those are extremes.
yes, but we need to
Yeah.
address it from the root. When we talk about
Yeah,
empowering
at least for those who are
a
listening
woman,
and watching.
okay, empowering a woman, we should empower the woman in such a way that she can contribute to whatever the vision is.
Exactly.
Whether her self vision or the corporate vision of the man and the woman. So it's a red flag when you find somebody who can do all her things alone and doesn't need you.
And it's
Then
not-
why am I even in a relationship?
And it's not even possible that you have that. 'Cause
Oh,
everybody
people
needs
behave that
somebody.
way. People think
Okay,
that,
and-
there was a woman, somebody even said,
Because before you go there, I was trying to make a point about why we marry. I think why we marry has to be answered by anybody who wants to marry. Because
why do you want to get
yes,
married?
because when you question,
Why are you
will
married?
discover that people have different reasons for marriage.
For marriage.
Yeah.
Aside the fundamental reason, aside the fundamental, some people brush that away, right? You mentioned the story about your friend whose wife appeared to have married for
Children.
childbirth. Do you understand? Somebody like that is a priority.
It's a
Any
red
other-
flag for me.
So any other thing becomes
But they
You
are
see,
some,
yeah.
a non-priority. So this is the point I'm making. That before you decide to walk the aisle with the person, you have to have a discussion as to why you are interested in marrying me, and why I want. And the person has to seek from you why you want to marry them.
Yeah.
Some want to marry just because they didn't have siblings, right? Growing up, they were the only children, so they want a companion. That's the primary thing for which they are married. Other people are marrying because where she's coming from, he's coming from, they are not sufficient. They are not equipped financially, so they want to marry so that they can bridge that gap financially.
It's a red flag.
Somebody is marrying because maybe they are aging, and so they
It's
want
also
to-
another red flag.
Do you get my point?
Exactly. And these are all red flags.
Exactly. And these are realities on the ground for which people stand on to marry. So we have to appreciate that people have their reasons and their targets,
But
and,
we are
and
talking
motivations
exactly.
for marrying.
You know,
but there's the fundamental
But
one that we
also
must.
that is why we are
What
having
he
this
has said
discussion. The point
is
is
so true.
It's true, but there is a point. That is where people don't see the red flag. You see, if you want to
So
marry,
why do we marry?
we marry because you see. The question is not even we. Why must I marry you?
So that means
is
that it's
one.
personal.
I'm coming. Why
Right,
must I
that
marry
is
you?
personal.
Why must I marry
Marry
you?
you.
That is the point. Now, for me, I want to marry you because you fill a gap in my life.
What gap is that?
So
Exactly.
you
that gap
means that you
feel.
appreciate that there's a gap.
Yeah,
that
that
you
gap
need filling.
That gap
Okay.
must make you.
Are you a soccer?
Okay, that gap must make you the priority. The gap must not be the priority, but you must be the what? The priority.
So
if you are not the priority of my reason for marrying, then after I've got what I want, what is the use of you? Because there are some things you can get after marriage. So, for example, I'm marrying you because I want to give birth. Then after giving birth, what next?
Exactly.
So if a man wants to marry because he wants a child, it's a red flag.
And
Because
how would you
after
know?
getting
How
the
would you
child,
know?
the relationship what?
Yeah.
Gets
And for some
destroyed.
of them,
So,
you will not know until
if-
it plays out in the marriage.
If we should all have reasons why we marry, assuming I am marrying because, if you ask me why I even got married, I don't even
You don't even know.
You see,
You know
and-
why?
I don't know.
The reason is that. The reason is
That's really
that.
genuine. A
You
lot of
see,
people
I
found
don't
out
know.
why they married.
the reason
after
is
they
that
married.
your husband became your priority. That's why I talk about the priority thing. Oh. You
I
see,
don't know.
the object, love must have an object, else God will not create us. What does God need? But He created us because we are the object of His love. You see the point? So the main reason we should marry, like I was saying, that apart from sex, any other person can provide.
provide that
So
need.
why are you marrying the person? Because the person has become the object of what? Of your love. It's not that you just love the
Yeah.
person. The person
And
is the
you have made a
priority.
decision
And
to
therefore,
be with them.
the person has become a part of you. So whether the person gives birth or doesn't
not,
give birth,
you
gets
love the
money
person.
or doesn't get money, you are just
In love.
with the person and you
Because
are
it's
okay
a
with the person,
decision.
you
And I-
enjoy.
Sometimes I even think that it
No.
goes beyond love. It goes to the core of decision. It's a decision you have made, whether you love the person or not. You have decided, and you have to respect your word. Just like God, He exalts His word above Himself, so that whatever He says, He does not do otherwise.
But interestingly, God exalts. But I disagree.
No, it's
God.
not. It's
God
not by you
exalts.
then you are
I'm
disagreeing
coming.
with Scripture.
You're-
God
No. I want to put it in perspective.
What is this thing about God exhaust what?
No,
No, so
God
my
is-
point is that
is-
being in the
it has
image
got
of God,
nothing
right?
to do with red
no,
flags.
being in the image of God, right? You make a decision to marry, and you make a decision to be with this person forever. So you have to respect your word.
No,
That's
what we
the-
are talking
that's
about,
the
the
line I'm
decision
trying to
aspect,
draw.
yes, what you
understand?
are saying is true, but you see, it was when you brought the God factor in that I'm trying to put this point there, that it is not just what God says that He prioritizes or is above Him. The point is that God speaks from His love. You see, when you speak from your love, it doesn't become difficult for you to continue. But when you speak just from your heart or just for whatever, it becomes a strain. Because love is the fuel, okay, that causes a relationship movement. Now, that's why we are saying that it's a red flag when the person doesn't love you. It's a red flag if you are not the priority. It's a red flag if you are not the object of the person's interest and love. You understand? So when we are dealing with red flags, we should actually look at you as the person who is coming into the picture. What is your position in the person's life? So, for example, I need you, okay? But why do I need you? I should need you because of you. That is one. I should need you also because you are an indispensable factor in my life. You
Without
see?
emotions.
Oh, the emotions are the fuel. They are necessary, but they are the fuel. But the point is that
If you should take the emotions out, what would you need that person for?
that is where
you know what?
when emotion is taken out, it's a red flag.
I asked the question
It's a
about,
red
I asked the
flag.
question about
Aside you
the woman.
laughing,
Or the,
Are you talking about romance or emotion? Because emotion is different from romance.
emotions is different from romance.
Yes, completely different.
Really?
Yes, romance is the sexual appeal or sexual emotion.
Right,
But
romance is
emotion is basically the affection or what keeps us together.
And
okay,
affection
or what
and
separates
romance.
us. Because emotion can even be negative, where anytime you people meet, you begin fighting yourselves
Negative energy.
and all that. So it's a negative emotion. Then we have the positive emotion where you want to always see yourself, you want to talk to yourself,
Let's
you want to
bring
be
it to-
closer
let's-
to yourself.
If, we
If
take
that
the
is
romance
not in,
out, let's take the romance.
yeah,
Let's
out.
put the romance here
Yeah,
and the person as a human being.
yeah.
Why do you need that person for marriage?
That is a good question. You see, my personal experience. With my personal experience, I find it difficult to take the emotions out. But let me say this. When I met, I'm a sanguine. Okay? I'm a sanguine. And you know sanguine are careless. Sanguine don't care about, anything and many things. It's maturity that changes the sanguine. So for me, I was helped by my maturity. You come into my room and everything is messy. You come on my bed and you have 1,000 books. I was always sleeping with books. So my wife would say that books are her rivals. And she called books Okai. She would say she's Baba Okai, and then her rival is books Okai.
Books Okai.
And then, I'm somebody, I didn't care about anything, my wife, when she first met me, she saw the messiness of my behavior. And then she decided to clean me up. You understand? This is one of the reasons I appreciate my wife so much. She decided to clean me up physically and emotionally. So I married her because I saw that she makes me her priority. In fact, I was selfish. When I say I was selfish, I mean that I saw how much she's ready to just make me her priority. But I paid back by making her my priority. You understand? So it was a conscious decision. Then the emotion comes in.
Aside that, you see, so if right now your wife decides not to take care of all those messes, what would be the feeling towards her?
One time, I was boasting to myself that I love my wife. I was walking and I was boasting to myself. I feel proud and I appreciate her. Then the Holy Spirit said to me, you love her because of what she does for you. You love her for who
That is what
who
I
she
wanted
is.
you to say.
And so I came to myself and realized that, yes,
Condition.
yes, I came to myself, then I
Love
realized
has
that
conditions.
I'm being
It
selfish.
does.
I'm being selfish. No, that was where I realized my selfishness. And then what if she talks to me anyhow? What if she doesn't respect me? What if, will I even be mentioning her name here and stuff? Would I be boasting about her? What if she didn't do that? Then I realized my weakness, my selfishness and whatever. The fact is that we human beings, we are selfish. We must admit it. But you see, that is why humility is important.
Sometimes
So
selfishness
if a
is
person is not humble and full of himself and thinks that he or she is the one carrying you, for me it's a red flag. I don't see myself as the one carrying my wife. Neither does she see me as the one carrying me. There is the mutual, So when you enter into a relationship, you see, and you want to marry, the red flag is when there is no mutual appreciation of who both are and what anyone is bringing
So
to
I was
the
asking-
table.
I asked about whether it's a red flag if the person is interested in knowing your numbers, right? And are we agreeing that indeed that is a red
It
flag?
depends on how you are interested in it.
and the sense of entitlement.
Yes, if you
How
have a
much-
sense of
how much do you
entitlement,
earn?
I
And
must
how
show
much
you
earn?
by all
And
means.
What's in your bank
relationship.
account?
I
What's
even
this
tell
and that?
people that, look, it's not everything you must reveal in a relationship. don't be too transparent. I'm not saying don't be transparent. I mean, don't be too transparent in a relationship.
Yeah, I agree.
Because it's not by force for the relationship to end in marriage. So if you're going to tell how many people you slept with, you're going to tell how many
That's one
whatever,
cry. You don't
you're going
have
to
to
say
mention
this,
it
going
at
to say
all.
this, all the experiences. When you enter into when you don't
When
enter
it
into
doesn't
marriage
enter
and you meet the
into
next
marriage.
person, you're also going to tell everything.
And
If
add the
something is a
previous
secret
one.
for you, let it
Should
be a secret for you. Now, therefore, for me, it's a red flag when you meet somebody who wants to know the in total of your life.
It means that they are on a
Give
mission.
people, exactly. It's a relationship. Allow the person some privacy and secrecy.
Yeah.
However,
And the moment you don't, then it looks
yes,
like
it must
you are
not be
keeping
a
things
secret
from-
that is damning.
Yeah.
It must not be a secret that is, there are certain questions you even ask in a relationship. It's lack of respect. For example, how many men have you slept with?
It's so
Or how many women have?
disrespectful.
Why are you asking me
Very,
such
very
a question?
disrespectful.
Means that you see them as
It's not necessary. It's not necessary. Some even
It's not the seeing them as sex objects. It will even put them off once you mention it.
that is the point. It has a
will make
danger.
the person see you as you are not even worth it. I read a story that the guy said one time he met a lady before, and every time he approaches the lady said, "I'm going out with someone." So after some time, he went again, and this time around the lady accepted. So the lady was the one narrating the story.
Okay.
She said when they were going out one day, they met her ex, and he said they introduced themselves, and she introduced the ex to her current boyfriend, that this is my ex. And after the ex left, he said, so because of this guy, you made me suffer, sir, before getting you.
Wow.
And seriously, they broke up.
You see, the young man
Because
doesn't
of
value.
this,
That was a
why,
reckless statement.
because of this
Yes.
guy, you stood me up, you denied me, you made me suffer.
Yeah, that's a proud
because of this guy.
You see, that is what the Bible says. Don't cast
Self-pride.
pearls
In
before
front of
swine.
swines.
You see, there are certain information. Don't share it with just a careless person.
Yeah.
Just because you are in a relationship with a person. That is why
When you
I
fall out,
advise
they just
that
take
She
you
was
away.
shocked.
when you are in a relationship, take sex out. You see, sex has the power
Osofo.
to bond you in such a way
In
that
this
it
world
makes you
now.
terribly vulnerable. That's why a lot of relationships
Yeah.
are vulnerable
And
relationships.
that's
In
why
this world
sometimes
now.
That is the way the problem
Sometimes
is.
even the reason-
because
the reason-
it causes
It's
you
not
not to
even
see
possible.
well.
Yes, and
It's
the reason
possible.
that we
One
have to
out
really
of 10
stand
relationships
out.
Look.
that can survive without sex.
So we have
Yeah.
to let people know
That's one out
that
of
there
10.
is a terrible
There is-
danger.
Aisha,
Ah,
I think it's more.
There is a terrible danger.
Master, if you were able to go out with your wife without having sex with her before you got married to her, you are blessed. It's not like that out there.
No, but the fact that
If people
it
will
is
be real.
normal
That one I
doesn't mean
understand.
it is
People will
right.
be real.
But 1 to
No,
10,
it
1
doesn't
to
It doesn't
10
mean
also
it's right,
mean
but
the
it is
dangers.
happening.
Yes, but it doesn't mean the dangers are not there.
One
The
is to 10
dangers
is
are
too
there.
much.
The
Exactly.
consequences
And one
are there
of
too.
one of the danger is that it makes you blind to the red flags.
So that
No,
means that also
it doesn't.
if your partner,
Do you know there are ladies who don't want to leave a relationship
Because they think that
feel
they've given their body
if
to
I
the man.
go, he has used
yeah,
me.
so I won't go.
Used you like how?
Oh,
Oh,
it's
be
happening.
realistic,
Oh,
lah.
please.
Oh.
If you, the woman,
It's
have
not-
given, unless maybe you two, you see the sex as you two, you having
let's
fun.
put it a
You-
mutual something they
But there are some
have.
people who
No,
value
no, 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 no,
themselves so that
Anyway,
when they give themselves to a
it's
man,
true.
they see it as they've let go themselves. So that
And you see-
it's difficult to just
The point
walk out
is
of
that
the
men and
relationship.
women are created differently. In the sense that, I said it earlier, when a woman is having sex, she's not just having sex. Her body, soul,
So
spirit,
in this case, you have to
affection,
describe the type of
emotion,
woman because
everything,
I mentioned the
everything.
pro-
No.
prostitute too. So
Wait,
you
I'm
have
talking
to
about
define-
women because
No, it's-
even the
it's a
prostitute
general
there,
thing.
the prostitute
It's a-
there,
that aspect is a
she
general
even
thing.
separate her profession from who she is. So, if a prostitute meets you and want to have a serious relationship with you, and she's giving you sex, she will not give it to you as a prostitute.
Okay, but what if
she
she's
give
giving
it to you
what if
with
she's
all her
giving it to you-
emotions?
What if she's giving to you as her profession?
No, she wouldn't. Then you are not in a
No, I'm
relationship.
talking about when she's in her profession.
No, that one is a relationship.
Yeah,
It's
I'm
a
trying to say that
profession.
let's define it because now we have look at
Wait,
The point I'm making, I'm talking
wait.
about women in
In
general.
general.
In general, listen, there was a woman who told me something. She said, "Man of God, I cheated on my husband. But let me tell you, the most difficult thing any woman would do is to cheat. And she said the most painful aspect of cheating is when you are in the act as a woman. Then you remember that this man is not my husband. She said it's so hurting, it's so painful. So the point I'm making is that that's why when a woman commits adultery, it's a huge news. Because for a woman to give herself, it's a different thing. That's why I'm saying that in a relationship, and this is for women, don't give yourself to sex because you are giving your entirety.
Yeah.
And if you're not careful, that sex can cause you to be bound to the man in such a way that you shouldn't be bonded to him. Because sex creates bond.
Anyway.
It creates bond. And you don't have to be bonded
but in this
to the
era,
man.
it's like that
the
bond-
only
the
time that
glue has
bond
become
comes
loose.
in is when he has what? Married you. It's so unfortunate that we are living in a broken society where, like you said, it's become so difficult to be in a relationship without
having
sex.
sex, yeah.
When I was in my first relationship, an older woman, knowing who I was, the strict nature in terms of my moral standard. I don't like boasting about my morality because the Lord made me to understand that He's not saving me because I'm morally good. He's not saving me because I am who I am. He's saving me by grace because those days I used to boast of my righteousness until I came to understand the gospel of grace.
Yeah.
Then I realized that, yes, I've been the kind of guy everybody will be proud of, the Criffet type, but it doesn't come in
It's not the reason
before
for
God.
qualification.
Exactly. But a woman knowing who I was when I fell into my first relationship came to advise me to allow sex as the woman will go. Not just an ordinary woman. It was my uncle's wife, my auntie, my uncle's wife, who sat me down and said, look, you have started a relationship. If you have this kind of attitude, you're going to have a problem. So allow it. You see where the corruption started.
And imagine
and
if
it didn't help
such
me.
an advice from a woman as
oh,
a man.
And you know the
how
result.
much it will destroy
And you
you.
know the result of a kind of when I came to know what sex was. Initially, I was very powerful spiritually. Long before secondary school, those I went to secondary school, they know, JHS, they know. The power of God, the mighty hand of God. When I went to my hometown, it was just marvelous. But when I came to know what sex was,
Before
that
marriage or after
anointing, no, long before I married, I'm talking about, that anointing began to drop. In fact, it dropped to the 0 degree where the time that the Lord was calling me to come into ministry, I realized that I didn't qualify. And I didn't believe that God would call me because
you
I
had
had
condemned
nothing
yourself.
to do, not even condemning myself. I had lost what I had. You see, the fact is that when you are engaging in sexual immorality, okay, whether relationship, there's no justification for it. Something leaves you.
Yeah.
You lose a lot. You lose your sense of direction. You lose your sense of
it's like
focus.
you pay a price for it.
You pay a price for it. So if you are in a relationship, okay, and you want to really see the way forward, you have to be careful.
Well,
Am I saying that if you're in a relationship and sex happen, it means that life is over or whatever?
come to an
I'm not
end.
saying that. Okay, there is always room for improvement, but don't think or don't sacrifice your future on the altar of sex in the name of love.
Because I've given
We got to
myself
be
to you,
careful
yeah.
about that. This is a Christian channel,
It's
but we're not
okay.
saying it just because we are Christian. I'm saying it because of experience. Now, let me even say this. My wife, okay, I had a vision. And in the vision, my wife and I, we talk about sex before marriage in schools and other places. And we advise, people. My wife and I, we advise people on that. One time, we went to a secondary school to teach on sex. And after teaching, the one young boy asked a question. He said, they say that when you have sex, you not be clever, you not be intelligent. But our teachers who have been teaching us, they are intelligent, yet they are having sex. Why are they not lying to us?
Confused.
You see the point? So that was one of the biggest questions we had as couple. So how do we then let these children know the fact? You understand? Sex, as I always say, is good. There are benefits of sex. You can take it out. But when it comes to a relationship, okay, sex has the power to bond you. It's a benefit, But that is why
At
it's
the wrong
dangerous
place.
in
At the wrong
relationship.
place.
Because sex in marriage gives you an excellent bond. Sex in relationship too will bond you, but maybe
Example,
it will be bonding you to the wrong
You have
person.
been on this one for long. It's okay.
I agree, it's
we
okay.
are
But do
still-
you agree?
We are still talking
Uh-huh.
about red
so
flags.
now, in conclusion, the point
Wait.
is that what?
You
We
let
are
her bring.
talking about red flags. So let's shift to we from the perspective of Christendom. It's not right to have sex before marriage.
No, I'm not even saying Christian. No. From the perspective as a counselor of a man and a woman,
All right.
it's a disadvantage for the woman.
He says
It's
sex
not-
is not good before marriage.
As for me, I would stand on the Christian perspective because
No, no.
that's where. No,
As for me, if
that's where
me,
stand,
I want to
because
play like
there
the
are
devil's
I don't want to
There-
use
there
the
are
word
other faith-
Christian perspective. Because when you use,
There-
I'm
no,
not when you
yeah,
use
I'm
Christian
not-
perspective, you are
bothered.
bring.
No,
Let's not.
I'm not bothered about using that.
Because
because there are other settings, there are other faiths, there are other jurisdictions.
It is still
which,
wrong.
Which allow.
Wrong is wrong.
No,
whether
I'm telling you that
whether it
there
is
are
allowed or
places-
disallowed.
Uh-huh,
What we are
according
talking
to who?
about is a
According to
red
who?
flag
According to
that
who?
can affect
I'm coming on.
a person in relationship.
If a system, if a society, right, if a setting accepts a way of doing things, and in another setting they don't accept the same, in the setting where they accept it, when you do it, is it wrong?
It's wrong. Wrong is
According to-
wrong.
So
Wrong
that's
is
what I'm saying,
you
according to
cannot
who?
right the wrong.
So that's why we cannot discount it according to God, right?
It's not. Listen.
Yeah, according
That's
to
why.
who?
That is why my premise was
According
this.
to what? And
I'm
according
coming-
to who?
according to the red flag we are discussing.
Wanyola,
And my red flag is that
it's okay.
you see
This red flag.
no what we are talking about at this
sex
point.
red
So
flag.
whichever perspective
What we
it
are-
says, we
The
agree
red
that
flags are too many. Let's go
it's
on to
not
the
right
other one.
to
It's
have
not right
sex
because
this
no,
sex.
you
before
see, no.
marriage
What we are talking about
or
is still the
immoral-
red flag. But
immoral.
here we are talking about what blinds people from the red flag.
That you delve
but you see,
deep
you cannot-
into the disadvantage.
So you want me
of-
to go to the advantage?
No, you wait. The advantages are for the viewers to decide.
Okay.
So now, aside the sex, that is the red flag, there are also controlling behaviors as well. That one is also one of the major areas that needs to be dealt with.
Yeah.
Especially when you have a boyfriend or, should I say fiancé, or how do they even call it?
Well, a fiancé and a
Do you just say
fiancé.
partner?
I hope
Thank
A boyfriend,
When you have
girlfriend is the
a
normal
partner-
word
Having
everybody.
partner,
Because
goes
you
for
are
the
my
two.
boyfriend or you
Partner
are my
goes for the
man
two,
friend.
so-
I think I'm a man friend. You are my woman friend. You are my woman friend.
So now, the controlling behaviors where they determine what you have to wear at what time, where you have to go at what time, and when you
What
go
time you
out, you
sleep.
have to, what time you sleep, why is your phone like this?
In a
Why is
relationship.
yes, in a relationship. How do we even go about it, especially when it comes to you as a Christian? Let's come into that area before you as a person.
Let me try and have a first bite. I think that depending on how it is done, right, it could be wrong or right. If the person comes across as commanding, as demanding, more or less, playing a role as though it is their responsibility to ensure that you are doing
The
according
right
to their
thing.
bidding. Obviously, you on the receiving end, it becomes a red flag that you have to consider. Because if this person hasn't put a ring on your finger,
Or even
And-
has
right? So are we talking about in relation or in marriage?
both.
Okay, so let me
Let's do the both.
Okay, let me address my
Relationship.
relationship. Then I think also will address.
Yeah.
it.
So then we
So-
wrap it up.
so-
Uh-huh.
So obviously, when you see that in a relationship, you on the receiving end, you have to take caution, because even in a relationship, if the person could do this to you, could literally enslave you, control you, like having a remote control, ensuring that you go here and there, even though they don't live with you, they can literally have a say as to where you go, what you do. What if you live under the same roof with them? Imagine what will happen.
Yeah.
So you listening, I mean, if you have somebody like that who is ensuring that you go according to what they do, and you think that it's okay, they love you, so they care about your welfare, they care about your well-being, which is why they are doing what they are doing, then it's up to you. Like we said, it's a red flag. When it is shown you, or when you see it, you take a decision. When it goes in your favor, all the better. When it goes against you, then you bear it. So
Yeah,
that's what I say.
I think that This one, first of all, has to do with temperament. We have different personality types. Okay. Me, for example, I'm a sanguine, like I said. But I also have some choleric nature, a very strong one as well. And that is why I'm an extreme extrovert. Now, if you meet a choleric, he is by nature a controlling person. So sometimes before you see somebody as a red flag, you must also examine who you are and know who the person is. Because the choleric, for example, may not appreciate what you do because he wants it to a certain standard, especially even the melancholist who want everything perfect. And so they hardly appreciate what other people do. Then you have the phlegmatic who wouldn't care. You see, who will give you what you call freedom. And yet it is not the right kind of freedom. The choleric will always want to control you. The phlegmatic would not care. The melancholist will want its standard. And then the sanguine also will be just here and there. Today he controls you, tomorrow he doesn't, and all that stuff. You need a balance. So if you find a man who you call control, ask yourself whether you are really defining what control is. Or a woman, you ask yourself whether you are really defining what control is. Maybe you don't know how to dress. And this woman knows that the way you dress is wrong. And so she wants to help you so that you start dressing the right way. Yeah. And you call it control.
But the approach, that's what I said. So the approach
matters a lot.
Will give you a sense of whether
exactly.
they are controlling.
But you have to put it, understand clearly the intention of the action. Many times we judge people by their action and we judge ourselves by our intention. As we are sitting here, if maybe I hit you or whatever, and you go out, you'll be talking, and he hit me. If you hit me and you go out, you not say you hit me. You say, oh, I was throwing my hand and I didn't know, and unfortunately, you see, you are describing your intention. But when it came to mind, you describe my action. That is where we also get it on. So, though we are talking about red flags, we should be careful we don't conclude everything as what? Red flag. And on the controlling factor, if you have every evidence that this person is controlling me, then you have to be careful. But the control comes in when the person, I think, is jealous, insecure. Are you getting the point? And that is where the controlling factor comes in more. But where he's concerned about certain things that you need to correct, or she's concerned about certain things you need to correct, it may not be control.
But you see, as you talk about intention, right? That you judge actions, not knowing people's intention. And that's why we are human. We can only know so much.
But at least you should discern. You should psychologically, be able to know.
So that means that you have to do more into trying to get into the head of the person.
That is where judgment comes in. You see, judgment means the ability to know right from wrong.
So you may see an action, but you should also take a certain extra step into knowing what could have informed the action. And also, sometimes you can know it by how it is carried out.
No, not always.
Cannot discount that.
Okay, you said sometimes. I agree, but we should be careful because, you see, somebody may even behave in a very wrong way, but with the right intention. I'm not saying that justifies the wrong. No, it doesn't justify the wrong. For example, my little boy some time ago came to pick my bowl after eating, and he breaks the bowl. And the mother wanted to beat him. I said, don't beat him. Why? Because he realized that the father has finished eating, and he was joyfully rushing to. Then he breaks the bowl. Now you're judging the child because the bowl got broken. But you didn't look at the process.
The
so
intention.
Yes. Anyway, that is why before you marry, you should even make sure you marry a mature person. A mature person who knows when and where and how to talk. I think you can come in on this subject, then we wrap up.
I want to go on highlighting some of the red flags.
Okay.
Like you mentioned already, excessive jealousy, lack of compromise. Some people won't just listen to your side. Like, once he said he saw your phone ring and it is Kojo, then no, he's not ready to listen to your explanation that maybe Kojo is my uncle's son, or Kojo is this person to me, or Kojo is even my boss. Some of those things are equally red flags. Some people are so manipulative They will want to manipulate you into believing that this, maybe there is this mark on your face, it's not good. Go and do laser treatment just to get that place. They will manipulate you into, I don't know which one to use again.
Sometimes
They are
not believing yourself, looking down on yourself.
Looking down on yourself.
Yeah, they take away your self-image.
Low self-esteem.
Yes.
Put you down. They make you even
So
feel
that you are dependent
inferior
on
to
them.
other people. Those are all red flags. Once you see them, if you can't address them, or you have addressed them and it's not going well, please leave, because people don't change.
I think
People
this is
don't-
where you marry your boss instead of your partner.
Yes, it's like
Or
you become headmaster and student.
Student.
Yeah.
If you are not careful, that is the way you would have to live your life. Once you say daddy is coming, then everybody is
running
running,
away.
just because daddy thinks the chair should be here, but the children have shifted it this way, and he will start abusing you verbally. The verbal aspect is even more tormenting. Sometimes they could even tell you that, well, what dream kura uti esi uti so kura as a dream name. It's so demeaning.
Yeah.
You are reducing the person to nothing. So the red flags, there are so many, and once, like my brother initially defined, if it doesn't,
If you cannot live with
you
it.
cannot live with it, and you have addressed it and it's not changing. If you can, live, because don't expect change when you get married. People grow and
be a
become,
risk.
yes. People do their masters. They graduate from degree to masters when they get married. Now they become pompous. They become the bosses in their homes. And then we are say, one son is say, there are homes like that.
Yeah.
One son is say, nanka say 1 week no is kana, on is cani biom, go see the other week. There are things you need. Run away from stingy men. But make sure, we the ladies, it is high time we start respecting ourselves enough. Let's not make people's children, people's sons, our fathers, so that they will feel they own the right to our
suppliers.
lives. No.
Supplier.
And the men too, please. Sometimes it's so difficult getting married to some men because they are so spoiled from their homes and they bring it into their marriage. You have to be treating your husband like your child. When you need to do things, do them. Don't leave everything on the women.
Yeah.
It's so tiring. When you get home and you can help, please help. And once you see that your partner is not that kind of a helpful person, unless it's that person, that kind of a man you want, it's also a red flag.
Okay.
Because marriages are difficult in recent years. It's not easy in marriages. It's
Wow.
so tiring.
It's not easy in marriages.
Yes.
I think that at this point, let me remind us, this is the Gobe Show on Caris TV. Yes, here we deal with issues that affect people's life. So there are a lot of issues we'll be talking about, and this channel is for you. You are part of the family. I believe by now you have shared something in the comment section, and I will encourage you to subscribe, to share the link, and make sure you are always with us. But I want to read some interesting facts here. We have touched on most of them, but for the purpose of summary, some red flags. We have trust and honesty issue. So red flag can include secrecy, constant lying, or lack of transparency in the relationship, which I think we talk about. Then respect and boundaries. Disregarding each other's boundaries, whether emotional, physical, or personal, can be a significant red flag. So the person doesn't respect your boundary and maybe stepping beyond in a way that doesn't make you comfortable. It could be a red flag if it's a constant attitude. Then control and manipulation. I think you mentioned that. Behavior that seek to control or manipulate a partner, such as isolation from friends and family, excessive jealousy or coercion. They are all what? Red flags. And I think that isolation from friends and family is something that is important. A lot of young people are going through, people in relationship, are going through such challenge, especially where the man is a jealous person or where the woman is a jealous person. There are some women, when they come in your life, all they want to do is to separate you from everybody. Some men also do that. It's a red flag because, listen, you can never live without other people. And so if you want to be in prison, then marry a person who is separating you from everybody. And sometimes you're like, oh, he loves me, he wants to protect me. Protection
That is not
and
love.
taking you away from even your family, no. That is not right. Then we have lack of support or empathy. When one partner consistently fails to support the other emotionally or dismisses their feelings and needs, it's a concerning sign. Wow. I've always said that love is carried by two people, but it is a burden when it is carried by one person. So when two people are carrying love, it is love, but one person is a burden. So everybody must try to come in. Then financial disagreement, constant conflict, or secretive behavior regarding money matters. Secretive behavior regarding money matters can indicate deeper issues within the relationships. So these are issues we don't have to overlook. Relationship or financial issues in relationship. Patterns of abuse. Any form of physical, emotional, or verbal abuse is a severe red flag that requires immediate attention and intervention. Incompatibility and unresolved issues. Persistent unresolved conflict or fundamental differences in values, goals, or life plans can be red flag for the longevity of the relationship. I love this so much. So incompatibility and unresolved issues. There are some issues that have to be resolved, and partners are not ready to resolve it. If your partner is not ready to resolve the fundamental issue and you enter into marriage, you are in trouble. Don't ever think that we will marry and things will change, or he will change, or she will change. If the person is not showing any sign of change, please be careful. Then addiction or destructive behavior. If one partner struggles with addictions or engages in harmful behavior that affect the relationship negatively, it's a red flag. There is no excuse to marry an abusive person or an emotionally abusive person. If this woman is abusing you emotionally, if this man is abusing you physically, be very, very careful. The lack of growth or supportive environment. When the relationship lacks growth or supportive environment for personal development, it could be a sign of stagnation or unfulfillment. So personal development is important for every marriage and every relationship, and we have to take note of it. This is Charis TV, and this has been the Gobe Show. God over broken emotion. I believe you have been blessed. My name is B.I.C. Abeku Okai. I'm a counselor. We were joined by Daniel, DNTN. I love that, DNTN. And then the great woman of Ashama, Selena. Ashama baby.
Ashama mama. Yes, I love Ashama.
Exactly. I also love Seya Breku. So all my Seya Breku people, yeah, make sure you subscribe. Okay, we are bringing Charis TV to all the Guan land, all over Ghana, wherever the Guans are.
Yes.
Bless you. Ashama for.
It's for us.
Hey, see you.
Charis TV, Charis podcast. So let's promote.
Yeah, Ashama boy.
Yes.
Now, why is it that
Ashama we did?
Maybe another time we have to talk about Ashama.
Yes.
I'm always hearing about Ashama, Kaswa. I don't know why. Any negative news, either Ashama or Kaswa.
At least Ashama has graduated. Now we don't hear it
it's
anymore.
you people.
Thank you so much. We'll meet another time. Till we meet, this is the Gobe Show. Bye-bye.